Hello. I hope it's streaming.
Yeah, it is.
It's. Can everyone in the chat let me know if I'm visible and audible? Yes. Okay, it is perfect. Okay, this is always so awkward, like to set up. I never know if it's gonna work or not. Okay, perfect. Oh, there's so many yeses. That's so. Thank you all. Oh my god, we got to 300,000 subscribers. I wish I had like a little party thing. Last time I had confetti. This time I'm not that prepared. But thank you all for coming. I'm not sure how many people are in the chat yet, but I'm not gonna check because that's too much effort. So I have a beer. So if anyone else has beer or a tea or a coffee or some snacks that you want to bring to our nice little celebration hour, and we can have a nice time, answer some questions. Please don't spill. You didn't. Okay. So yeah, what we're gonna do is just like, I know everyone has lots of questions about how we make the videos, how we like come up with ideas, questions about us and me as a person, a human, and the fact that I'm not a cartoon also shocks a lot of people. So yeah, we can get started. I'll let some questions go in, and then I'll pick whatever one my eye looks at first. There's beer spilling everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so the first question I can see is, can you say 1,000 years? What? This happened. Do I say 1,000 differently than everyone else says 1,000? I know that in the videos I say like 1,000, but that's just because I'm trying to emphasize that it's like, that's a big number in years. But yeah, I've got so many comments about the word 1,000. Okay. People are also asking how many languages I speak. I currently speak 3 languages. I speak English, Irish, and Spanish, like conversationally. Like, it would be a rough conversation and I would be very confused, but I can speak it. And I can speak really bad German. And I can say 2 words in Dutch. Okay, let me see if there's a way I can like keep track of the questions as they come in.
People are asking where you're from.
Oh, people are asking where I'm from. I'm from Ireland. The accent kind of gives that away a lot of the time, but a lot of people can't pinpoint an Irish accent because it's a very small island. But yeah, I'm from Ireland, and I'm from like the capital of Ireland called Dublin. Yeah, that's that really. It's not super interesting. It's not super exotic. Let's see. And people are also asking for my real name. I can also like, I'm gonna give out during the stream, I'm planning to give it like my real name, mother's maiden name, my first pet's name. We're gonna go through all of it. Just in case anyone wants to get into my bank. But my name is Donal, which is like an Irish name. I think it means warrior. But someone just could have told me that, and I believed it because it sounded cool. But yeah, Donald's like an Irish name. The way I spell it like it's Domhnall, which is like really long and like a very archaic way of spelling that. It confuses everyone that sees it. So when people are saying Donald, no, not Donald, but it's like Donald, but without the D at the end of Donald. Okay. People are saying, which religion am I? I got this question last time as well. I'm not religious. I just like to learn about religions. I just find them like kind of like inherently interesting because people like are so passionate about them, and they have like normally super long histories and like these big. Oh, someone spelled it in chat. Someone spelled Donald in chat.
I did.
Yeah, religions are just kind of inherently interesting because they just have like, they're kind of like encapsulate. They have like their own kind of like logic and rules and like why these kinds of things happen, and that's always just super interesting to learn about. And especially like religions from places that you're not from. Like for me personally, I grew up in Ireland, which is was not so much anymore, like super Catholic, like a super Catholic country. So I grew up knowing only about Catholicism and Christian stuff, and because of that, like I can understand like Islam slightly and like Judaism slightly because like they're kind of similar, mostly similar. But then when I go and learn about something like Buddhism, or I go and learn about something like Hinduism or Confucianism or like Aztec religion, you just get hit with this like completely different worldview about why things happen and like how the universe works and all this kind of stuff. And that's just fascinating for me. I could like read through like religious texts for like days. That's literally my job. And I just find it fun no matter what. But yeah, I'm not religious. Let me see, any other questions?
I want to know how you make the videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have. My wife is there assisting on the side at the end of the table, keeping track of all the tables. That's the other part of the Cogito team. We're a two member team. So how we make the videos? Well, normally they kind of just start off with like either we read ideas in the comments, like people will suggest, I'll do this video, or a lot of the times we actually do polls on Patreon. We'll put up a poll. Like the Tamil video was chosen by our patrons. We put up a poll on a bunch of different people's, and they chose the Tamils. And then once we have the idea, once we have like an idea for a video, we'll just kind of like do this like kind of like super wide, cast a super wide net on Google. Just type in like, if we're looking for the Tamils, we'll type in Tamils on Google and just open like the first like 20 tabs we see, especially we'll go on Wikipedia, we'll open all the Wikipedia tabs. And then that will give us like a place to look for sources. Wikipedia is great for that, because then you can just find in the Tamil, like, historical dictionary of the Tamils. Boom, let's get that book. Okay, so-and-so writing about South India, let's get that book. And once we have loads of books and loads of these journal articles and loads of like things that people explain stuff in that are reliable, we'll read those for like a few weeks. Then we'll write the script, which takes forever, because I take forever to write scripts, and it's rough. Scripts are really awkward to write. We want to get help with that. Then when we have them written, I will start to do like a storyboard, or like normally we storyboard together actually, about like how the video should look, what jokes I want to put in there, what visual jokes, how the animations are going to look. And then once you have that kind of concept, I'll record the audio, like the narration, because it's better to like record the narration when you already kind of know what the video is going to look like, because that way you can like change the intonation of certain words, because you know like there's going to be a funny animation. Like in the Tamil video, we did the British guy who flips in and everything, and that's because like we had an idea in mind of how that was going to look before we recorded like the really bad British accent. And then animate that in Adobe After Effects, and then that's it. This is just like 5 or 6 weeks it takes to make a video from like idea to animation, and then upload to YouTube. Okay, the chat's moving so fast.
What programs do you use to make the videos?
Oh, programs. Yeah, we get this question a lot actually. We use the Adobe Creative Cloud, which is all the Adobe products. It's like a monthly subscription. The ones we mostly use are Adobe After Effects, Adobe Illustrator to draw. So After Effects lets you animate stuff. Illustrator lets you like draw stuff. And then there's a program called Adobe Premiere, which we just kind of mash it all together at the end. But yeah, essentially everything you see on the screen when you watch like a Cogito video is just like Adobe After Effects. Because I don't know how to use a lot of other programs. Someone's saying the next video, our next video will be how all the continents got their names, which we started because we picked because we were like, that's gonna be kind of easy, because that's like, there has to be like a known reason how all the continents got their names, and it wasn't easy, and there's not an easy answer to how they all got their names, and the research has extended a bit. It was supposed to be like, we'll do 3 weeks and this will be done, 1 week of research, like it's gonna be super easy. No, we've been researching it like for 3 weeks, and I've been writing the script now for like 2 weeks. Dr. Gaster says, Cogito say my name. So yeah, there's Dr. Gaster's name.
What other YouTubers do you like to watch?
Other YouTubers that I like to watch. Ooh, there's so many. For channels like similar to ours, I like Stefan Milo. He does great videos on like a kind of archaeology and ancient peoples. He's really, really, really good. Sweeney, who is a kind of a channel that's very similar to like this channel. I actually started this channel because I looked at Sweeney videos and I was like, I want to do that. So if you like what we do, go check out Sweeney. He does like these kind of animated history videos, normally about the history of like an entire country. Great, really well animated. Who else? I like Knowing Better makes great videos. He makes incredible videos, especially like if you're interested in like American politics or like sociology, psychology. He does great videos on those. Lady Night the Brave does amazing videos on kind of like movies, TV shows. Love those videos. It's kind of hard to come up with them off the top of my head, but Oversimplified is also really good. Wish he would have released more, but I understand why. He doesn't. Who else? I watch so much YouTube, and like I can never think of the good ones off the top of my head. There's actually so many. This year and last year has been like an explosion of really good YouTubers. So I could check my subscriptions, but that's just gonna like drag on forever. But yeah, go check out Sweeney, go check out Stefan Milo, go check out Lady Knight the Brave. And Extra History, yeah, they're also really good. Okay. Let's see. Also, I wrote down some questions because some people asked them beforehand. So, how do you make the videos programs you use? Review YouTubers. Also, yeah, if you're actually interested in learning about how we make the videos, I'm going to start making tutorial videos on how I do it, like, personally. So, I'm going to put them up on my Patreon. So if you want to learn how like we make our maps, how we make our animations, how we draw stuff, it's going to be up there. And another one was like, why did we start making like these YouTube videos? Which I explained in the first live stream we did, but like there was 100,000 less of you when we did that one. So there's so many new people, especially after the last video. Like Tamil people really liked the last video, and you guys poured in. So welcome all of you. Our channel is actually now the audience is like mostly Indian. We're like 54% viewers come from India. Is it 44?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's 44% come from India, which is incredible. That's insane. I didn't expect to have an Indian audience when I like started the channel. It's been great to see like all the passion and like that Indian people have for like learning history. I've never seen people so interested in like just learning about like their own history and like their culture. It's great to see. But yeah, sorry, I was talking about why we made these videos. We made these videos because I was looking at YouTube videos of like Crash Course, Sweeney, Extra History, and I was like, oh, I like that. But I would make those videos differently. You know, I was like, oh, I would cover that topic in a different way. So, and I would want to watch that video. I would want to watch the video I would make on that. So I'm going to go make it. And at the beginning, like the animations were terrible. They were just like a slideshow on, not PowerPoint. What's the Google version of PowerPoint? Google Slides. They were like an animation on like Google Slides that I would just like make 100 slides and I would push the button really fast to make them move, and then I would just record the screen. And things have gotten like slightly better since then, but we still have a good way to go. And then yeah, that was how it started. I just wanted to make history videos like the people that I like to watch, which is essentially what everyone else should do. If you like to watch things, you should like, and you have the time and energy and like the will, make them. Or like, you know, like do something like super creative, because like we need more. Like people think like YouTube is saturated now, but in reality it's not. It's like saturated in certain places. But like, yeah, there should be more people from like Bangladesh making videos to explain things about Bangladesh to us. People from like Korea should make videos to explain things about, or not even only Korean things, but like anything. We need more people making more videos from all over the planet, so that, you know, I can learn about all of yous, because that's more fun than me having to do all the research. Make a video about the Maldives. I actually would like to make a video about the Maldives. They have a super cool history. They were in the original script for the Tamil video, and then I had to cut the section of the Maldives right at the end because I just needed space. And the video was like 55 minutes long originally. Okay.
Somebody asked if you think Wikipedia is like a good source.
Wikipedia. So yeah, maybe they can't hear you. Someone asked, do we think Wikipedia is a good source? And kind of yes and no. It really depends. You can read Wikipedia and you can come away from most things, if like the article's long enough, with like a general insight. If you read like, I don't know, a Wikipedia article about the history of Ireland, you'll come away with like a general understanding of the history of Ireland, and like it wouldn't be like blatantly wrong. But the best option with Wikipedia is to read it for like the general overview, and then go to the sources down below and then see what books or like links or what other like what the person who wrote the article used to learn about what they wrote about. That way you actually like, you have the general overview, and then you get to dive into a source that explains it more, and you come away with like a much broader understanding. Now for certain things, yeah, you can use Wikipedia. Like when I was doing the Tamil video, for a lot of the food, a lot of history books didn't talk about Tamil food, which is left out entirely. So when I wanted to learn about like banana bonda or like dosa or like idli, I couldn't go to like an old man's book because there was no old man's book. So I had to go to Wikipedia, get a general overview, and then like kind of search around like in cooking books and stuff. So sometimes for like very like specific things like that, if you want to learn about like idli, there's not like a whole book about it, but the Wikipedia page is pretty good. And that kind of stuff, like yeah, really specific, broad stuff is like if you want like a broad understanding of like a very specific thing. But yeah, Wikipedia is an okay source. it's not wrong most of the time. Let's see. Someone said make a video on the. This is actually a really hard word to say. The VJ Nagara Empire, which was like this empire in South India that was going to be in the Tamil video. They get like one mention in it that I just had to cut because like again we needed time. Otherwise the video would have been like an hour long. But they're super cool. If you want to, you can go learn about you can go on Wikipedia and learn about it. The VJ Nagarara. I have such trouble saying it. Empire. It's super cool. So what happens is, like not the Mughals, but like you get this kind of like Turkish, the kind of Muslim invasion into India, and they go into India and like a lot of the powers there kind of fracture, and so they begin to consolidate into like these kind of like sultanates and everything, and then they kind of push into South India, and South India is super fractured, and then these two brothers found an empire. They found an empire, like they found the city called Vijayanagara, and they kind of like unite South India into this empire, and they push back these invasions, and they create like this super rich, prosperous empire that has like a kind of a renaissance in like architecture and like cultures. Lots of like music comes out of it, and they build this city with like the original city they founded, and it becomes like the second biggest city in the world after like Beijing, and it just pops out of nowhere as a response to these invasions, and it's super interesting. So you should go learn about that. It probably will be a video at some point, because everything probably will be a video at some point.
Yes, if you're a history teacher.
I'm not a history teacher. I wasn't even good in history class. I'm not going to be a history teacher. No, I don't think I could even, like, I didn't even finish like university, so no one should let me teach anyone history, like officially. As like fun for like to like spark interest for people, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, don't give your future to me, or like rely on me for like something very important. It's more just like this is like fun, you know. It's like learning about the world in a way that like it wasn't taught to you. And next question. It goes by so fast. I'm dyslexic, so the wall of text is chaos to me.
Somebody keeps asking if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
I have a wife. I have a wifey. She's the other half of the channel. She's off there off screen. Oh, the connection went. Did it come back? Okay.
Yeah.
There was a giant red light. It looked very aggressive.
Fine.
But yeah, I have a wife. She's the other half of the channel. She does a lot of the research. She also like controls. She also runs the Spanish version of the channel called Extravaganza. And if you want to go look at our videos in Spanish with her narration to like maybe practice your Spanish, you can go there. But yeah, it's a 2-person team, husband and wife. And there was like is that a sticker? It's not showing up properly on my screen.
Super chat.
Oh, what's it say? Because I can't.
It actually doesn't say anything. It's just from a person, Suraj Kumar.
Oh, thank you, Suraj Kumar, for the super chat. And I love the fox. Is it a fox or is it a sheep?
I think.
Either way, it's adorable. And it looks like it belongs in one of our videos. Someone says, can I make a video about the Mughal invasion or like the Mughal Empire? Yeah, of course. All of like the big things, all the big empires, especially like in Asia, we have videos planned on them. It's just that the research is a lot. Like the Tamil video was an idea that I had in my head for like a year, and I like never wanted to go forward with it until like we put the poll on Patreon, because I was like, oh, there's gonna be so much research, and I want to get it correct, because a lot of history that you see on like places that aren't like France, it's like are just wrong. Like if it's not European history, it's just like tends to just be like someone read a page somewhere and is now just saying things randomly about it. And so I don't want to do that. I don't want to like tell false history or like kind of generalized kind of wrong history about a place. So that's why it takes us so long to come out with the videos on the peoples and like empires and stuff, because you need to really dig in deep. Like 99% of the stuff we research doesn't appear in the video. Mughals, all the states of India we also plan like to go in like kind of general videos on. Maybe not all the states, because like some of the states are new, but like all of like the major cultures and events we'll at some point get a video. Same with like everywhere else on the planet. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this. Hopefully long enough to cover the whole planet. Okay. It's warm in here. There's like 10 lights. Not like professional lights. Just like random bulbs. Like lamps to like make it just look less like a prison cell with a painting. So it's very warm.
Somebody was asking what your favorite movie is.
Ooh, Lord of the Rings. Everything like without a doubt, Lord of the Rings. All 3 Lord of the Ringses, Lord of the Ringsize, Lord of the Runguses are like they're one movie. You know, every year we sit down and we watch. Normally, like from in my head, Lord of the Rings is a Christmas movie, in the same kind of vein as like Home Alone is a Christmas movie. I just want to like every December we sit down, spend 12 hours, or normally over like 2 or 3 days, because otherwise like. That's like a very hard task to sit down and watch 12 hours of a movie. But like we'll sit down and watch it over like 3 days near Christmas. Every year. Great. Someone said, do I like empanadas? I do like empanadas. I love empanadas. Especially if they're like really, really stuffed with cheese. And basil. Someone said, am I Irish or Northern Irish? Technically, both. I was born in Belfast, which is in Northern Ireland. But I essentially spent like my entire life in Dublin, which is in Ireland. But yeah, technically both. Let me see. I'm gonna try and spot some questions. Make a video on Christianity. Actually, we're making a video on Christianity at this very moment. We're researching the Christianity video, and once we have that one, I'm pretty sure we have like all of the major religions done. So we're looking forward to it. The research for it's kind of dense because Christianity has like lots of scrolls to read and books and discussion, and there's so many Christianities. Like they kept it like, you know, pretty solid, you know, for like 1,000 years. They're like Catholicism, and then all of a sudden there's like 50 ones we have to learn about. So yeah, we are working on a Christianity video.
We got another super chat
from Raju. Let me just see if I can like scoot in. Oh, I can see it now. In rupees. Oh, 100 rupees. Thank you. I can't read the Tamil part, but I'm pretty sure you're saying like the word Tamil in Tamil and then Tamil next to it to explain what it means. But thank you so much, Raju, for that super chat. I'm wondering how many Tamils are in the chat, because we've got like an explosion of subscribers recently after the Tamil video, which did really well. So, you know, you go Tamils. That was actually like one of the most fun videos I've ever made. The Tamil video, like I really dove into. I think we really figured out like the format for like the people's videos. Like when I was doing like, hope that doesn't make any noise. I was looking into like Tamil food. We watched Tamil movies. I watched like 10 different documentaries on the Sri Lankan war, which was dark. And like, yeah, the Sangam period, Tamil kings, like I dove way too much into it, but it was super fun. Great time. Let's see. People are saying, do I know about the connections between Tamils and Korea? I know that like a Tamil princess went to Korea and got married.
Do you see the new super chat?
So Isaac Zinn says in a singing voice, come out you black and tans, come and fight me like a man. Come and show your wife the medals you won down in Flanders. So thank you for that super chat and for like that bop. Someone saying make a video on Somalia or Somali. Yeah, we have done very few videos on Africa. The only videos I think we've done on Africa is like the video we did on Egypt, like Hatshepsut, the Egyptian pharaoh, and the Sand people, or the Bushmen. I forget what I titled it actually, to be honest. We're planning to go back and do like more African videos. We want to do like is it Igbo? Is it Igbo? I have a list somewhere. The religion on the people in Nigeria. We plan to do videos on Great Zimbabwe. We plan to do videos on Somalia, and also like the entire trade happening like from Somalia down to where all the Swahili speakers are, because that's super in the Indian Ocean, because that has like an insane history that you never ever learn about. So yeah, we plan to do loads of that kind of stuff. And yeah, Sam Bushman, okay. What are your opinions on Jainism? Well, we did a video on Jainism. I didn't give any opinions really, because like I'm not gonna. even though in the religion videos, I never try and give opinions because people don't come here aren't coming to like this kind of video to learn my opinions on a religion. They want to learn like the basics of the religion. But yeah, Jainism seems cool. Very peaceful. The philosophy is like, and the philosophy is not the word I'm looking for. The cosmology that they have of the universe and how it works and the different levels and everything was really cool to learn about. And the way they thought about karma was like very like specific to them. They had a very different idea to karma than like Buddhists and Hindus have, where they kind of thought of karma as karma, or like, if I remember correctly, whenever I make a video, all the information that went into the video disappears from my brain directly after. So that's important to like take into account as I mentioned this part about Jainism that might not be true. But if I remember correctly, they had this idea of karma as like these kind of like small particles that would, so that when you did like a moral action, whether it was good or bad, like the good or bad karma particles kind of stuck to you. And so their goal was to like not make them stick, like the bad ones stick. And even the good ones, I think at a certain point you wanted none of them to stick. But yeah, super interesting. Okay.
What does cogito mean?
Cogito is, it's supposed to be, the translate, if you've ever heard like cogito ergo sum, like I think therefore I am, what I thought I was doing was I was like, okay, so he's like cogito translates to I think. And the idea of the channel originally was like, I'm going to explain like what I think about this subject. And also originally I had planned for like the chubby characters were actually going to be robots, like kind of like robots with cogs. And so it was going to have like a double meaning, like I think, but also like, look, they have cogs. But I couldn't draw the cogs like to look correctly. And I also like, cogs are like kind of difficult to like animate. They don't work the way you think they work. And like, I'm not smart enough to like take that into account every single time I animate. So yeah, cogito is just Latin for I think. And I just thought it sounded kind of cute. And I was going to have robots originally instead of like the fat little characters we have now. David Peter, thank you so much for the 200 rupees. Who you say, Who Are the Tamil People is the best documentary on the internet. It's going viral and deserves it. Thank you. That means a lot. I was actually kind of nervous about putting it out because I was like, oh God, I hope like everything I say is correct. Like I triple, quadruple, whatever the oople is for 5, checked the facts and what I said in that video so often. Like there were even parts where like I wanted to keep in, but I was like so unsure if they were correct that I just cut them because I was like, I'd rather say nothing about this than say something incorrect. So the fact that it's getting such good reception and people are like, this is very true, or these are the true facts, or this is how it actually happened, I'm relieved. I'm so happy to hear that. The only thing people like really critiqued was that I can't say any Tamil words correctly. But like, if you've watched my videos long enough, you should know I don't say any words correctly. I can barely speak English. Someone said, do I do YouTube full time? Yeah, I do YouTube full time. I've done YouTube full time for like years now. I actually worked for another YouTube channel before I did my own YouTube channel full time. So I've been a YouTuber for like 4 years. And before that I worked at Ryanair, so. Someone says, am I a father? I don't know. I don't think so.
We have loads of plants.
I have lots of plants. I do have lots of plants, so I'm a plant father. But not a human one. Oh yeah, someone's like, I said Pandian Emperor as Panda. That was actually one of the main complaints, and I was actually kind of happy that was one of the main complaints. That the main complaint was people being like, the panda joke didn't work because that's not how you say the word. And I actually understand that. It's annoying when someone mispronounces like words relevant to your culture. But I did do that on purpose as well, because I just wanted... I think it's always important to have like a joke, not even a joke, but something to kind of break up the dense information like every few minutes, just to like kind of keep people like on their toes. And sometimes I have to sacrifice a pronunciation for that. But I also have a panda t-shirt on, so... Everyone likes pandas. Someone's saying, who are the Tamil people part 2? At some point, maybe. Maybe not like who are the Tamil people, but maybe like a deeper dive into like a specific question. Or like a Sri Lankan Tamils. I don't know.
You couldn't see the bicycle of the panda.
You couldn't see the bicycle of the panda?
No.
Okay, I'll stand up.
A little bit more.
Okay, let me just give me a answer. This panda is on a bicycle. And it's too small for him. Like, he should get a bigger one. Okay.
I just thought it was a mischance.
It was a mischance. This is actually one of several t-shirts I own that have large animals on tiny bicycles that were bought in separate places. Someone's like, can you make a video on Turkish invasion of Anatolia? Yeah. The Turkish, the spread of Turkic people across the planet, not across the planet, across Eurasia is super fascinating and again isn't really explained in most history books. In my history book in school, we learned that there were Romans, and then it just stops. We do a bunch of Irish history, and all of a sudden in World War II, the Ottoman Empire is here, and you're when did the people move all over the place? Why is that not explained? It's super cool, and we will do a video on a lot of the Turkic peoples and the history of Anatolia and all that kind of stuff will get covered. Anatolia comes up in our next video on the continents actually. There was a super chat. Yeah, I saw it slip by my eyes. Okay. Where is it? No, YouTube's trying to make me give a super chat now, but I don't want to give a super chat. I'm me. Okay, there. From RV1606, who says, have seen some of your videos and enjoyed them all. Learned stuff that I didn't even know about my own culture. 10 million here, by the way. Thank you so much for the super chat there. And that's good to know. Yeah, I'm happy that people are learning about their own cultures from me. But don't stop with me though. That's the thing about that's why I want to make these videos, because I want people to really dive into different peoples, because every single different people group on the planet views the entire universe differently and has different logic and reason and ways of seeing the world, and I want everyone to learn about all those different ways.
Somebody asked about your skincare routine.
Moisturize.
There's another super chat as well.
Okay, I'm so dyslexic. I actually the words are blurred to me for a while. Okay, now I can see it now. Jen Eliana says, thanks for all you both do, and would like to see more Indigenous cultures. Great job, past, present, and respecting, highlighting traditional knowledge, and obligatory for Great Lakes video. Oh yeah, we're making a Great Lakes video. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat, and we plan to make loads more videos about I'm holding this headphone. Indigenous peoples, especially in the Americas, because that's where my main not main interest, but I'm obsessed with learning the history of Indigenous Americans, because there's so many different groups to learn about, and they have all these different really fascinating cultures and architectures and ways of being that I just find great, and mythology. Oh my god, I love Indigenous American mythology, especially Aztec, Maya, the Iroquois, all of it, amazing. The Pueblo peoples we're gonna make a video on. We're gonna make a video on the Great Lakes peoples. We're gonna make loads of videos on the Mesoamericans, and then further south on the Inca and the other kind of South American indigenous peoples. So yeah, expect those. Okay. Someone says Caesar moisturized. Of course Caesar moisturized. Caesar was smart. He was a genocidal maniac, but he was really smart. And of course everyone should moisturize. Moisturize. Water is the essence of beauty, and beauty is the essence of moisture, you know? A video on Malaysia. Yeah, we'll be making a video on Malaysia. I would have to Malaysia has multiple different people groups in it, so we would probably do independent videos in each of the people groups. And that whole region, Southeast Asia, has people groups that span across different countries. And there's lots of islands there, and those people were some of the world's greatest sailors and navigators, so they're all over all these islands, and so I'm dying to make videos on them. The Orang Laut, I'm not sure I think they're in Malaysia, especially around Singapore, which isn't in Malaysia but it's next to it, are these super interesting people that mostly live on the water, and they live on boats, and they've been hired as mercenaries by different powers in the region over centuries to kind of mess with and be pirates against their competitors. And the Orang Laut are yeah, whatever, okay, give me stuff and I'll do it. I'm just gonna chill here in my boat, and you guys can fight each other after. And that's just super interesting. Okay, I did say, someone's Malaysian said I said Orang Laut correctly. Thank you. I never say anything correctly. People saying love from Tamil Nadu. Thank you, Tamil Nadu.
Do you ever figure out the thing with the others? The others in religions?
Yeah, I actually never figured it out. For some reason, they just come up constantly. they came up in the they mentioned in the Sami video, otters came up, and they had like a huge, like, there was actually a deep spiritual meaning behind why they thought otters lived in hell but also on Earth, because otters like live on Earth but also dive deep into water, and like they saw that as like this kind of way to transport people across realms. And I was like, you go otters. And then they came up in Zoroastrianism, and I didn't even know there were otters in Persia or Iran, like, or around the general region. Otters are just cool. People see them and they're like, yeah, that's special. He knows how to stack cups. Someone says, can I say my name? My name is Donal. I said it earlier in the stream, so Donal. It's Irish. I'm not going to spell it because it takes like 45 minutes to spell it. Thank you for your research in the videos. Yeah, thank you for watching the videos. I'm actually glad people are like really into like how much research we do, because sometimes I personally am like, this is too much information to throw at people. You can't make a 26-minute video on the Tamil people and like pack it full of like dense information and expect people to like watch that. But like people do, and like shocks me every single time. I'm surprised by how much people care about like educational videos. It blows my mind.
Education degree?
Someone said, do I have any educational degrees? I don't have any degrees. I went to university for several weeks, but it didn't work for me. Can I make a video on the Spanish flu? Yeah, I'd love to make a video on the Spanish flu. I don't want to take blame, but I did have a video for the Spanish flu kind of like circulating in my brain like around March of 2020. I was like, oh, let's make a video on the Spanish flu. Because like there's this coronavirus thing happening in other places, and like people will be interested. And then the whole thing blew up, and I thought, oh, it's a bit dark now. Maybe in a few years we'll make a video on the Spanish flu, which is incorrectly named. It shouldn't even be called the Spanish flu. It started in the US. It should be called the United Statesian flu. I'm gonna make this chat bigger because my tiny eyes cannot see. Okay, this is much better. Someone said, what's our next video about? Our next video is about... oh god, I forgot. Our next video is about how all the continents got their names. And it took me a while to like tie that down, because we started with the idea, how did all the continents get their names? And then I kept drifting towards making a video about like why continents are stupid and don't exist, and like Europe's not a continent, and like neither is Asia and neither is really Africa. They're all kind of one continent. But I restrained myself, and I've maintained that it's why the continents get their names, and that video will be like a different video. But yeah.
Which places would you like to visit from the videos you've made?
Ooh, New Zealand, all of Polynesia, because it just looks incredible, and I want to like see people who can actually surf. Like, yeah, it seems cool, no? India, obviously, but I feel like I need to take like 6 months to like, which I don't like. I've traveled a lot where I take like 4 or 5 months to like travel a region, but like, yeah, I need to take like 6 months to go see even just like half of a place of India. Like you would spend like 6 months in the north or 6 months in the south, which actually isn't fair. You would actually spend like 6 months in the north, 6 months in the south, and then like India has that like where Assam is, like where the 7 sister states are, it's like a whole different region I want to go see. That would also need its own time because it's very different up there. Where else? I would love to go to the Nordic countries, yeah, where the Sami are. That would be great. And also Namibia and Botswana. Love to go see them. Namibia looks incredible. And then the person did phrase it as like, oh, the videos you've done so far. So I'll keep it at that. There's too many places I want to go.
Everywhere.
I want to go everywhere. But I can't do that at the minute. But maybe next year you can go places. Okay. Arthur M said continents might be a social construct. And they are. They are a social construct. Continents are silly. It's a silly concept. Okay. Oh, someone said the Andaman Islands. Oh, yeah. Andaman Islands, again, kind of like, I kind of want to make a video about them. But I don't know enough to like even form the idea yet. But I would like to go. But they also came up in the research for the Tamils. Okay.
Your opinion about reaction channels?
Oh, my opinion about reaction channels. well, lots of you probably came here from like reaction channels. A lot of the videos I do, like the Hinduism video, the Sikhism video, and the Tamil video I just did. Oh my god, completely forgot about it. Like loads of you came to those videos from reaction channels, like Jabby's video on them, which I appreciate because I appreciate when more people come. I don't watch reaction channels other than when they react to my video because I'm a narcissist. But like, yeah, I don't watch them, so I don't know enough about them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an opinion on them really, other than like I really like when they react to my videos, because then I get to like do like a weird meta thing where I get to watch another person watch me, which isn't healthy, but it's really fun. Okay. Can you make more videos on food and drinks? I love coffee and tea ones. Yeah, we actually plan to make maybe not on food, like on food and drinks and kind of other like commodities that we eat, like sugar. Sugar, I think, will be the next one. If we're gonna make a video on like again in the food series, it's gonna be like on sugar. And then I had an idea about like rum. One, because I like rum, and also because like rum involves like pirates and like the Caribbean, which we haven't really explored yet, like on this channel. And I just think that would be really interesting because like rum has this bizarre history of like pirates and like Spanish and British and French colonial empires kind of fighting against each other in the dark, and just cool islands, and like Jack Sparrow is there maybe. So God, I always miss the superheroes. They go up so fast. Okay, I hope I say it correctly, but Chai Villas says, in love with your animation and deep research. And he gave us a super chat in rupees. Thank you so much. Really happy to see that people like the animation. Because when the channel started, the animations were not good. They were really bad, and they hurt eyes. They hurt everyone's... People got visually impaired from watching our early videos. And over like the pandemic, like trapped inside year, I like tried to like really like, I did like animation classes. I was like watching like all these tutorials. I spent like ages just kind of twerking with like how the characters move, and I built like a rig that all the cogitos are on, and so like now the animation's like much more fluid, and I'm happy that like people see it and they're like, oh, okay, this is actually like watchable now, and so thank you so much.
Why were you bald in the early videos?
I was bald in the early videos because I didn't know how to draw hair. Like the first character I made was like the me character, and I just the head. Also at that point the heads were like a bit too long, and so the drawing a hairline was awkward. And so I only really drew hair for like characters that needed to have hair on them because like they were of a person. You'll even notice if you go back and watch your early videos, like if the person is like not specific, like when I say like a king, the king will just be like a king with a bald head and a crown, because I was like, I'm not gonna draw hair. Nowadays I have like a file full of hairs. This sounds like a serial killer thing to say. I have a file full of scalps that I just apply. But no, like the way we make the videos is I've pre-made a bunch of clothes and hairs and eyes and like different patches that I can put on people. So when I need a hairline, I just I type into my file male hair short, male hair black, and then boom, pop it on their head, and it saves loads of time. Someone says make a video on the Maya civilization. Yeah, that's like, I think like maybe in the next like 10 videos, they will be there because I'm obsessed with the Maya. I actually made videos for like the Kings and Generals channel. I made videos like eight videos on the Aztec, Maya, and Inca people, and I would love to make it on this channel because like now I know so much more, and like I feel like I could make an infinite amount of videos on Mesoamerican civilizations. I'm gonna try not to. Someone just typed the Soviet Union multiple times into the chat, which okay, you do you. Someone said Greek Hellenic. I'm not sure if that's like a suggestion or just like an announcement, but I appreciate it. Someone's like, am I Irish? Yeah, I am. I am Irish. I don't live in Ireland at the minute, or recently, but I am from there. Someone says, what are your qualifications? I can read really dense stuff for really long periods of time. That's essentially my only qualification to teach. I don't even teach history. I find this more to be like, we're just vibing. You know, I say things that I'm like, I hope like are correctly fact based, and then you learn them, and then you go learn more stuff about them if you're interested.
Somebody asked, what is the weirdest food you ever ate?
What is the weirdest food I ever ate? I'll eat anything that's like put in front of me. Like we've gone to a bunch of different countries, and I will eat like whatever the food is. The thing is, like, I don't eat meat, so I expect when people say like, "Oh, what's the weirdest food?" they expect you to say like kangaroo or like human. But yeah, what is the weirdest thing?
I'm actually not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of like what's the like furthest away country I've been to and been like, oh, what did I eat? But like,
I ate kangaroo and llama, but you couldn't.
you ate a llama, yeah. Yeah, that's my wife. The second part of this video, this team, she ate a llama. So
Not a llama.
not a living llama, like she didn't like, but like someone cooked it.
Camel as well.
You ate a camel, yeah.
Not a camel.
Yeah. But that's also because I was like, I'm not gonna eat the camel because I'm not gonna eat like the meat, but you have to eat the camel so I can vicariously like have a weird like experience through you, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone said fried watermelon. I have eaten fried watermelon actually. It's pretty good. I feel like watermelon and pineapple and a bunch of other fruits are actually better salty than they are like in their natural state. Pineapple is superior as like a baked or grilled or fried thing. If you make pineapple fried rice, that's delicious. You put a pineapple in the oven for like an hour, you get that thing kind of like grilled with like the little black marks on top. You put that on a burger, that's pretty good. Like if you're making random rice, you're like bored and you just want to like cook really fast. You're making like rice with like a vegetable or something. Throw pineapple in there with some soy sauce, and it just makes the meal infinitely better. I feel like half the planet. I feel like in like India and in Southeast Asia and like a lot of like in the kind of more Eastern Asian countries, they figured out that you can use like tropical fruits as as like a salty food, and that should be commended. That's like a genius move. Someone said caramelized. Yeah, that's pretty good too. So people are now mentioning pineapple on pizza, and like I like to make fun of people that eat pineapple on pizza. Like it's a good meme, but it's also like pretty nice. I wouldn't like order a pineapple on pizza because there's so many more better things. But if someone has ordered a large pineapple on like pineapple pizza and they can't finish it, I will sacrifice myself and I will eat it. Someone's like, how do you do deep research stuff like you do? It depends really on the topic, because sometimes like there's very few sources. Like if you're doing research on something really ancient, like if you're trying to do something on like Roman history, you only have like the selection of sources you have aren't like there's not that many. Whereas if you're doing like something more modern, like there's loads of sources. So when I'm doing research, what I try to do is, one, I go to Wikipedia, get the broad strokes, and then I'll go to the source in Wikipedia, grab all those books, and when I'm reading a book, when I'm researching a topic, like for the Tamil video, I read that this super long book about Dravidian languages. None of it made it into the video, but that book had like several different topics or events that it mentioned, and so I wrote them down. Like they were like, this language branched off from this language at this point. So I would write that down, like, there's two languages here. And then I would go and like Google the other language I didn't know about. Or I'd mention an event and I would go and Google the event, get sources on that. So I try and think of like research as like this kind of web where like one book points you to like 3 books. And then at a certain point, you don't have to read the whole book. As in like if you're like researching the Tamils and one of the books you say you're looking at mentions so-and-so said this in so-and-so date as said in this book, I'll go get that book and I won't read the whole thing, but like I'll make sure that the person who said that this fact was in this book, that the fact is in that book. And then that might lead you to something else. So it's mostly just like this branch that goes on forever. When you're doing like really deep research, you need to have like a cutoff point, because otherwise it will just continue to go on and you'll just go from one book to the next book to another book to like a ancient scroll. And then when you get to the scrolls, it's time to stop.
Somebody asked if you'd like Middle Eastern food like falafel.
Oh. I am falafel. I am mostly composed of falafel, vitamins and like fibers. Falafel is like one of my favorite foods. Middle Eastern food in general, I love because I like to eat like bunches of different foods at the same time. And when they do like the thing where you have like you have your like different kinds of hummuses and your bread and like olives and like tomatoes and like all these kind of like this spread that like a lot of Middle Eastern food does, that works for me because I'm just gonna eat all of it. Or like falafel. I'm forgetting the other one I like to eat. It's like falafel, but it's not falafel. It's not kebab. It has a different name, but it's delicious. Pro falafel. Someone's like, what are the steps after research? Once the research is done, I'll actually have like this giant file, like, and it sometimes has like 100,000 words that like I've clipped from like different sources. Like I've saved that text. I'm like, that's important. I should bring that text into the final script. And so I'll have this thing of like 100,000 words. It's mostly like repetitive because like all the sources tend to say the same things, and when they do, I save that. And then I'll just kind of like take the 100,000 words and like write in my own words like what all the information is in that 100,000 words. Someone's like, what's the most Irish thing you like? Okay. I'm not sure if this is like Irish or if it's just, no, this is Irish. Because like sometimes people from Dublin do things that other people in Ireland don't do, and all the other people in Ireland hate it. But I like to get like white bread, okay? And it has to be like thick, kind of cakey white bread. And I cover it with about 7 kilos of butter. And then I get a bag of like crisps, like cheese and onion crisps, or chips, as like Americans say, like potato in a circle, really thin, crispy. And I put it on the bread with the butter, and then you put cheese on top of that, and then you put another slice of bread with butter, and then you put it in your face hole, and it's delicious. Every single person I've met that isn't from Ireland that I show this to is like, that's disgusting and vile. You can't just eat like potato on bread that's fried. It's too many carbs in like such a small space. And then I make them eat it, and they're like, that's actually really good. That's delicious. Someone said, which video do you want to remake? All of the videos that I put out, I'm like, 2 weeks later, my brain is like, oh, I could have made that better in this way. But a lot of the earlier videos, like the video we did on chocolate, I would like to remake that in like the new animation style, like I did with the Buddhism video. The Buddhism video, the first one isn't bad. People really liked it, but I feel like the way the information was presented, both like story-wise and like how, I feel like in the first Buddhism video, I would just say things like Mahayana Buddhists believe in bodhisattvas, and that's what makes them different from Theravada Buddhists. And then I just didn't really explain what a bodhisattva was. I just dropped information and then continued. And in the new video, I tried to like explain what each new word was. So like, yeah, like, and that's like what we do now. We try and explain like things to someone that doesn't have the information beforehand. So it's like, I would like to go back and make like the chocolate video. I would like to make the diamonds video. All of the early Cogito videos I would love to remake. I also have this in my ear, and there's nothing playing through it. I don't even know why I have it. It's just been there. Yeah. Okay, someone says, do you watch anime? No. I watched Pokemon when I was like younger, but like I never really got into anime. I probably should. Like, there's no reason not to. It's a whole like different like genre of like media. But I also just don't have the time to get into it. There's lots of animes. Someone said make a video on Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah, once we do videos... Oh, is it buffering?
Oh, now it's...
Okay, while it buffers, I'm going to have a little sip.
The quality of the camera is also slightly lower.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the internet is low.
Okay, is it possibly like just our like connection? Yeah, okay. Just in case, it just dropped. Can everyone let me know if like there's like a lag or if the quality just dropped? No one's responding. Okay, someone said no change. I'm gonna take blah 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 at their word. Okay, and I'll do. Okay.
People are like, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Thank you.
And M Laser History also said it's fine. And because they help with that, you should go check out M Laser History. They make really good videos, especially on like the Slavic migration and on like all the Slavic history you need. Go watch them. It's great. Okay. Someone, it left my screen, but someone asked a very important personal question. and it's what is my favorite cheese. And this needs to be discussed because this is a very serious matter. Cheddar is an incredible cheese. Cheddar is like one of the best cheeses. And I would personally, like, many years ago, I would have said cheddar is my favorite cheese. Until I met this incredible Italian cheese called provolone.
You met this cheese?
Yeah. This cheese came to me in a dream and revealed a new life for me. Provolone is this like Italian cheese that comes in like a little disc, and you microwave it or you put it on a grill and it melts, and then you eat the melted cheese and it's chewy and super oily, and it's just the best. You can't get it anywhere other than like, I've only ever been able to get it in like when I lived in Spain and when I lived in Uruguay. I had multiple hands up for Uruguay. When I lived in Spain, yeah, when I lived in Spain and Uruguay, you can easily get provolone. Yeah, like now I live in the Netherlands, no provolone to be found. It's a crime. Europe in general, people think Europe has good cheeses, and some European countries have like specifically good cheese, but this continent is obsessed with Edam, which I don't consider to be a correct cheese. Edam is illegitimate as a cheese in my eyes, and so is Emmental. Bad cheese. Bad. Okay. Let me see. Someone's like, how old am I? I'm 26. 26 years old.
How many countries have you lived in?
Mustafa says, how many countries have I lived in? I lived in Ireland. I lived in Spain. I lived in Uruguay. I lived in the Czech Republic. And the Netherlands, where I currently live. So that's 5. Am I forgetting a country?
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've lived in like 5 countries. Yeah. Someone says long live Gouda. Gouda is acceptable.
If it's aged.
If it's like an aged Gouda. But look, I don't want to give out my controversial cheese opinions because I'm very passionate about cheese. Someone says I look like Daniel Radcliffe. I think it's mostly just because like both of us have glasses. That happens a lot. People were like, oh, I saw this person and you look just like them. And they show me a picture and it will be like a person with like a long blonde, like a long blonde mullet and like a huge beard, but they'll also have glasses. And they're like, you look the exact same. Someone says, is it coming home? I'm assuming that's in reference to like the football that's happening like today between Italy and England. And hopefully it's not coming home because like most people will be upset if England wins. Essentially the entire earth will be upset if England wins.
Italy has pizza.
Plus Italy has pizza. What has England given anyone? Okay? Italy gave us provolone, which we've already covered, and pizza, and pasta. What's England? Borders, probably. That's it. Okay. Someone says, do we animate our own videos or do we outsource it? No, we animate our own videos. And if we were to ever outsource anything, the last thing I would outsource is the animation because like that's the part that like I super enjoy. Someone says inter-ethnic conflict is what England gave us. Okay. Someone says Useful Charts is watching this.
Yeah, he commented.
Oh, perfect. Useful Charts is also a great channel. Who makes like Useful Charts, I feel like sometimes is also inside my brain because I'll be like, oh, this is a really interesting topic. And then a Useful Charts video will pop up on it. And I'll be like, oh, yes. My psychic YouTube channel has figured out exactly what I want to watch. And now I can go watch it. Okay.
Super chat.
Oh, it's a super chat. Okay. So, oof. Oh, okay. Peter Alexeyevich Kropotkin says, your series on Eastern religions is a timeless masterpiece that holds a special place in my heart. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that like people were able to like watch those videos and actually take something like relevant to their own life away. And it didn't just come across like when you're in school and they're like, this is what Buddhism is. This is what like Hinduism is. Write it down because it's going to be on the test. I was happy that like people absorbed that information in a way that like was interesting and relevant. So yeah, thank you for the super chat, and I'm super happy that you enjoyed those videos.
Somebody asked if your living room is the same as in the videos.
No. my wait, let me just have a sip.
We don't have a sloth rug.
But we changed the living room in the last video. In the Tamil video, we have a new room. We moved. Yeah, the video that like we have as like our living room in the place we have as our living room in the videos has a whiteboard. You know, it has a good amount of plants, which is like my living room, which also has a good amount of plants. But yeah, we don't have a whiteboard unfortunately in the living room because the lamp. Ooh, I fell. Okay. Let me see.
Somebody asked if you play video games.
I have played like when I was like younger, like a teenager. I played like a lot of games. I played like loads of like Mass Effect and like Call of Duty and like whatever games were popular in like the mid 2010s. When I had like an Xbox 360. As I've gotten older, like I have like less time and also kind of like less interest. Like I see like people play games or like hear people talk about games and I'm like, well, that sounds like a really cool idea. But like they can never really grab me. Like recently I tried to play Crusader Kings 3 when that came out. And for like one day I was like, this is really fun. And then I just forgot to play it like for the rest of time. It happened again with something else. Oh, Subnautica Below Zero came out and I played it like straight for like 6 hours and then never went back to it because I just like didn't care. So they are fun, but for some reason my brain just doesn't work with them. I also get really panicked. Like I get really freaked out by games. Like one of my favorite games ever, which I've played since I was like a baby, was Age of Empires, like Age of Empires 2. And whenever I play it now, I just get like, I'm like, I don't like, just too many villagers. There's and horses, and there's a person here. He has arrows. He's trying to kill me with the arrows. His arrows have set fire to my house for some reason, and I just I get like a tiny panic attack because I'm like, I can't manage all this. This is too much. This is too much. I need to delegate. I want to hire people to play the game for me. And it just doesn't make it fun. But yeah, my brain just doesn't work with them. We got another super chat from Sri Sai Adarsh, which is 40 rupees. Thank you so much. And he says, part 2 video on Tamil language and literature. Yeah, you can like, any video we make, assume that like I'm desperate to make like 10 more videos on that topic. The thing is like, I can't become like a channel that like only does like one topic. So it's like, I would like to make 4 or 5 videos on the Tamils, but it's going to have to be spread out over like 1 or 2 years. Probably more than that. But yeah, we will return to like Tamils and San people and like India and like all these things again at some point. Okay.
Uruguay or Netherlands?
Is there a question that says Uruguay or Netherlands?
Yes.
Uruguay is like the best place on the planet after Ireland. No, actually before Ireland. I don't know, put it before. It has better weather. It has better food. It has better beaches. There are beaches in Ireland, but you can't go to them because they're really scary because it rains and it's very windy. But in Uruguay, you can just chill on the beach and have a nice time. You drink some mate. You have like some torta frita on the beach. It's a great time. Someone says that Hamdan says, I am Muslim. Are you Muslim? I'm not Muslim. I'd like to learn a lot about Islam. It has like lots of interesting texts and philosophy that I could dive into for hours. And during the Islam video, I overread a bunch of random texts from like the 11th century, and it was great. But yeah, I'm not religious, so okay.
Do you have a pet?
I don't have a pet. I have plants. I have. This is Mary. She's a basil and grown. I plan to eat her. And then there's 4 other Marys along that thing because I'm growing lots of basil. But I'm not allowed to have pets in this apartment. So I want a pet. I want specifically I want a pit bull chihuahua mix. I want a chihuahua or a pitwa because I think they look like the coolest dogs. But until like I find a landlord that will let me have a dog, I won't have any pets. Someone says, what are your views on Chinese mythology? It's very complicated. There's lots of it. And I want to learn about all of it. China's just been around for so long. And there have been so many Chinese people. And there have been so many different like subsects of Chinese culture that they have this immense cosmology and like mythology. The Chinese, like in Taoism at least, I think in Confucianism as well, although Confucianism is like less religious, but in like Taoism, there's a celestial bureaucracy. As in, there are so many gods and there are so many spirits that they've organized themselves into a state that have like god accountants and like god like people that like you meet and like to like give papers to, and like you pray and it goes to like the correct official in the celestial bureaucracy. That's how like how big Chinese mythology is, and I love that and I want to learn more about it. Pranav Nair gave us a 40 rupee super chat and says, "Sir, can you make a video on the Malayan culture?" Yep. We will be making a video on the Malayan people in Kerala. I felt bad because they had a section in the Tamil video that I had to cut it because I was like, okay, this video is about like specifically like the Tamils and then an ancient Tamilakam, which did include the people that became like the Malayan in Kerala. But I'm just going to take them out and I'm going to make it their own video. So at some point they will have their own video. Kerala in general, actually, I want to make separate videos on because it has like a really cool, interesting history. Someone says I eat my pets. Like, not the dog. If I get a dog, I'm not gonna eat the dog. But the basil, yeah, they're not gonna make it long. Someone says make a video on EU and Brexit. It probably will at some point. Although Brexit's kind of like over now. We made a video on like why there's a border in Ireland. That's kind of related to Brexit because like that was a big issue with Brexit. They left the European Union without thinking about the other union they were currently in. But look, let's not get into that. That's silly. Video on how Ireland got separated from Great Britain. We actually made a video. Well, not video on how Ireland got separated. We made a video on like why there's two Irelands. I actually do plan on making a video series on like different countries' histories. Ireland will be one of them. And I think probably will be the first one because that's the one I know the most about. And because no other YouTuber pronounces Irish words correctly. And I feel like that would be the one video that I can pronounce all of the words correctly. And then there will be no comments being like, you said this like a cow would say. So like, yeah, I would we are going to make a video on like essentially all of Irish history at some point.
What do you think about adding humor even in serious topics?
I think someone says, so what do we think about adding humor even in serious topics? And I think it's necessary. Mostly because like I've watched documentaries and I've read books that are just pure misery, and they should be. Like when you're reading a book, say about like the Sri Lankan Civil War, you know, it's not a great time. It's not super fun. No one's having a great laugh. And those things should be treated with like respect and with like empathy and with compassion. You should be able to see like the suffering that's like involved in these kinds of situations. But we're also making videos to try and appeal to like more people. We want to bring in people that don't know about this topic. And I think that if you start the video in black and white and you're like, in a world full of death, you know, lots of people who aren't interested in history or aren't interested in that kind of like dense information are just going to click away. So what we try and do is try and like lure people in. We're like, oh, look at the cute little character. You know, he's adorable. And like, we're going to like, right now it's really fun. But 15 minutes into this video, this place is going to get colonized. And you're going to learn about it because you're invested, because we like brought you in with jokes. And I think that's important because like that's how you reach like lots of people and give them information on like very like dark subjects. Someone made a joke in one of our comments. There was like, I love Cogito videos, but the looming specter of colonialism is always around the corner. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we do. We bring people in with like fun animations and like interesting topics, and we try and get them interested early. And then like when the dark stuff comes up later on in the video, they're already interested, and so like they're also more empathetic and they're more compassionate to like that dark subject matter.
Favorite books or novels?
Someone says, what are our favorite books or novels? Okay, I actually don't read a lot of novels because fiction kind of just makes me really sleepy. I don't mean to like say that as like that's like a bad thing about fiction. It's just like if I want to go to sleep at bedtime, then I'll start to read like fiction, because like my brain, again, like video games, like my brain just doesn't work with it. I just get kind of confused. I'll be reading the book and I'll be like, who's this person? Like, where are we? I'll read like 5 pages and then there's like a fight scene. And I'm like, but where? Like, and I don't know who's fighting. I don't know who they are. And I just get really confused. So I essentially only read like non-fiction. What did I read recently that was really good? Yesterday I finished a book called Struggle for Women's Equality in Cuba. That was by Vilma Espin. And that was actually really good. It's like, again, like, it wasn't like a bar of laughs, but like, it was a really, really good book and like structured really well and made really good points. One of my favorite books ever is Affluence, not Abundance, or something like that. Wait, I'm going to Google it. It's about the Sand people. Can you Google it?
Yeah.
I feel like, do you know, one of the podcast hosts is like, bring it up on screen there.
Affluence?
Affluence, not abundance?
No.
The Sand people?
Abundance. Affluence without abundance.
Affluence,
So we can learn
yeah.
from the world's most... Oh, the title keeps going.
Successful Civilization's name, no? Okay.
The world's most successful civilization,
Yeah.
yes.
It's a book called Affluence Without Abundance. And it's about like this anthropologist, and he goes and he studies the Sand people, and he's like, these people have been around for essentially as long as humans have been around, and they've continued their culture. And like, this is one of the most successful civilizations ever, because they've remained over like, where other civilizations have got wiped out by famine, disease, war. These people have remained stable over a long period of time, and they don't work that long. They work like 2 hours a day, and the rest of the time they spend like with friends and family, having parties, hanging out, you know, going on walks, whatever people do who have time. I've heard there are people who have that, and like, yeah, that's success, no? Like, the reason people want to get rich is because they want, like, then they can use the money to like do fun things and like whatever they want with their time. And there's this group of people in Namibia called the Sand people who essentially have most of their free time and are living like a normal life, or up until like the Europeans got there, and then it got rough. But yeah, Affluence Without Abundance, great book. What are other good books? I've read books.
It's a 14 one, you like the year? The one you wanted to make a video about?
Ooh, yeah, there's a book called 1491, by a guy called... He has a name.
He does.
He has two.
I'll Google it.
1491 by Charles C. Mann. I remember because I thought the name was really funny. He has two books, 1491 and 1493. 1491 is about like the Americas before the Europeans got there, and they were talking about like how there were probably hundreds of millions of Native Americans rather than like the two that like Europeans believed there were there, and they had these like massive civilizations, and that like they controlled the environment like to like an insane extent, and how like when the Europeans got there they were like, wow, look at this pristine wilderness, it looks like it's been managed by God. I'm like, no, the tribe directly in front of you who's telling you how to like manage the ground and the soil and the forest, they did that. That's a great book. 1491 and 93. Excellent books. Okay.
Somebody just said El Pepe in the chat.
El Pepe. Yeah, someone's like, yeah, in the chat there, someone said Charles C. Mann is the author of 1491. Great book. Let's see. Yeah, people were like, weren't they like Native Americans were like a keystone species before Europeans came? I wouldn't use the word like keystone species, but like essentially, yeah, as in like the Europeans came, and shortly after, large swaths of biodiverse wildlife just got wiped out because the people who were managing it also got wiped out. So it's a fascinating book. It's not as like sad as I make it out to be. It's actually really, really, really interesting. Okay, someone says make a video on Shintoism. I will make a video on Shintoism. I'm pretty sure the way it's going to go in my head, in my like, because I don't write anything down because that would be too smart and organized. But in my head, it goes Christianity, Confucianism, probably, no? And then Shintoism. And then we're probably going to go on to like some of the smaller ones, like, I'm not going to say the word correctly, but the Baha'i religion, probably. Someone says make a video on the Romani people. Definitely. The Roma people are like one of the like peoples who are going to come up sooner rather than later in our videos. Someone says, can you make a video on the history of Britain? I actually don't believe Britain's real. It was made up to scare Irish babies. And I think there's actually just like an empty sea where Britain's supposed to be. I've never seen Britain. I don't think it's real. I think it's made up to scare people.
is there a topic you would like to study but can't think of a way to put it in a video?
So someone says, is there a topic I would like to study but can't think of a way to put it in the video? Yeah, lots of things. I actually had, I can think of how to put these in videos, but I feel like I'm not sure how to cut it. I would like to make videos on like the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Iliad, like lots of like ancient not texts, like epic stories. Lots of ancient epic stories because they tell us lots about the cultures that wrote them. But if I wanted to make a video on the Mahabharata, like I've seen the Mahabharata like TV series, it's like 400 episodes long. And I can't make that. I can't animate all that. I would like to animate like a 20-minute video that condensed it. But I also don't want to condense like a culture's like exceptionally important, like heroic, epic or like sacred text. Same with like the Iliad. I don't want to cut it down to like 20 minutes because like then you lose why it's so interesting. So I'm still like playing with that in my head. And then like things like very specific concepts. Like when I was doing the Buddhism video, I cut out this concept that Buddhists have of, I'm going to remember it incorrectly. It's not non-relation. It's interdependent arising or something. It's like you don't exist, nothing exists because everything is connected on the other thing. It's difficult saying words, but I want to make a video on that, but have no idea how to phrase it so that people that don't already understand it understand it. Okay. What are your views on occultism? I actually don't know anything about occultism other than that they have pretty cool symbols. Like, let's all be honest. Like, they have like occultism, great branding. Everyone, the palms, the stars. I wish my logo was as good as like, you know, those logos because they look cool. They're objectively like, ooh, spooky. Someone says make a video on Iran or Mali. They're actually like pretty close on the list. I want to make one of the first videos I wanted to make on the channel was actually a video of the entire history of Iran because I find it fascinating. And Mali like also has like this incredible history. Most people only know about like Mansa Musa, like the super rich guy, but like Mali has like an ancient history that goes back like thousands of years and has like multiple like groups and empires and like great story arcs in Mali. So I want to make a video on both of them. Evil Gaming says love from Mumbai, you know, love from the Netherlands to Mumbai, you know. Okay. Someone says make a video on the Ahoms of North India. I actually like. I don't know anything about those. They sound really interesting. So I will do some research and see what I can do.
Somebody's yelling coriander.
Ugh, no. If you like coriander, you can't be subscribed to this channel. That is just the law. If you like coriander, either like drop coriander or drop us. You know, I'm sorry, but you can't have both. Okay. Someone says do a video on the Telugu people. Yeah, I will. The Telugus came up a lot when I was doing the Tamil research. They sound fascinating. They will also get a video. At some point, all of the people groups in India will get a video. So, someone says, do you know about Wootz Steel? Wootz Steel. Okay, this is why it took me so long to write the Tamil script. Is that originally all these separate things had like their own parts in the video, and Wootz Steel had like a page, which in a script is like a lot. Like the final scripts of these videos are like 4 pages long, and in the Tamil one, I was like, yeah, Wootz Steel deserves like a fifth of the script. But Wootz Steel was like this ancient, like, I'm not a metal scientist, but so like keep that in mind when I explain what Wootz Steel is. In South India, and especially in like Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka, they came up with this special steel. There was like a crucible steel. I don't know what that means, but all the books use the word crucible. I think it's like they injected the steel, or they did a special process to make the steel like exceptionally strong, and also gave it this really cool pattern. And they would make the steel into these little cakes, and they had from like before, like in the BCEs, you know, like 2,000 plus years ago, the little cakes of steel. Lovely steel that was really strong and like well before its time. And they would export it all over like the Middle East. The Europeans got their hands on some of it. And you probably know it, if you don't know what steel is already, as Damascus steel. Like Damascus steel, like the famous swords that have like all the cool like kind of pattern in it. That's just wood steel. And the Europeans called it Damascus steel because they got it in Damascus. but like it comes all the way from South India and from the Tamils. And sorry, someone said coriander again in the chat, and it completely destroyed me. Yeah, and so then like 1,800 years later, when the Europeans start to arrive, they're like, what the hell is this steel? Why is it so strong? Why me no make steel like this? And then like European scientists spent like over a century trying to figure out like why this steel worked. Like they knew how the Indians made it, but they were trying to figure out like why it worked the way it did. And like them trying to figure out how wood steel worked like really helped like European metallurgy and like the ideas of like researching how materials and everything interact. So it was like super important. Like parts that go into your computer probably arose from like research into wood steel. I have probably said woots incorrectly this entire time. Someone says, can you make a video about the Indus Valley civilization? We did. We have a whole video. It's like 20 minutes long. Someone says, can you make a video on the Maratha kingdom? Yeah. The Marathas also came up in the Tamil research. They also deserve their own video. They're super cool. Someone's starting a petition to ban coriander. Look, if I was in charge, if like I was dictator of Earth for a day, you know, I would not ban coriander, but I would make it a law that like you couldn't just plop it on things without permission. You would have to be like, excuse me, diner person who's about to eat, do you like coriander? Would you like me to put this disgusting herb on top of all your food that you're about to eat and looks delicious and now you can't eat because it's soapy? I feel like that's just nice. If like, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's like 10% of all humans can't eat coriander because it tastes like soap. So just ask me. Just ask me, you know? Or put it on the menu. Sorry, I'm just very passionate about coriander. Someone says, can you make a video on the liberation tigers of Tamil Eelam? Yeah, they were mentioned in the Tamil video. I'm not sure if I would make a video just on the Tamil tigers because it's kind of like outside the scope of our channel. And also like we have very cute characters. We have like, and like a very kind of upbeat kind of like way of making videos. And I feel like that kind of topic, like we do cover like civil wars and genocide in sections of the videos, but they need to be surrounded with like, they're mostly surrounded with other stuff. So if someone's going to make a video on like, say the Tamil Tigers, or like even in Ireland we have the IRA, which is like another like kind of like resistance, like rebellion group / terrorist group, depending on like what perspective you come at it with. Someone else should make that video. I don't think I should be the one who makes a video on the Tamil Tigers. I feel like a Sri Lankan person probably has a much better perspective on that. But yeah.
DC or Marvel?
Someone's like DC or Marvel. Well, I like Marvel movies more than like DC movies. I don't really like have like a strong opinion on like both of them. Like if they make a good movie, I'm gonna go see it. But so far, I don't like any of the DC movies. Do I? No, I don't think so. Someone says, make a video about how Britain looted India. I have actually had this idea for a really long time. I even had like an idea in my head of like how I was gonna title it. I was like, ooh, like I want to give it like a spooky title, you know, to really like. I had like Legacy of Ashes in my head or something, but I'm pretty sure that was the title of another book I read. But I wanted to make a video about how like Britain specifically like destroyed India in a way that like isn't taught. If you read an English textbook, or even in Ireland, like we don't really cover India, but like it's like the British arrived in India and it was bad, and then they left, and then India like was poor, and you're like, okay, but if you look at the rest of history, it's Columbus and all these explorers are all trying to get to India because it's supposed to be super rich. So why is it that like when the English arrive, they're like, let's go to India, it's really rich, and then when they leave, it's really poor? Obviously, there's a disconnect there. So I wanted to make a video on how like the British essentially like destroyed all of India's independent like economic activities. You know, like all the looms. Like India was famous as like a fabric exporter. And then like the British arrived, or not originally the British, like the British East India Company arrived, and they turned India from a textile exporter to like a cotton exporter and a textile importer. So like, and then they did it with a bunch of different things. They turned India into like a place that imported finished materials and exported raw materials, and then they also just looted all the gold. And then people say like, oh, they built railroads, but they essentially just built railroads from like the raw materials to the ports which like when they leave isn't super like useful, like unless you want to go from a port to like a cotton field. If you want to go from like Mumbai to Tamil Nadu, you can't get the train until the Indians built the trains themselves. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to make that video. It does sound like it would have to be something I play with in my head beforehand.
Somebody asked how they can learn to animate like you do.
If you want to learn to animate, sorry, I'm not sure if they can actually hear when you say the question, so I'm going to repeat the question. Someone asked how they can learn to animate like I animate. And one way is that on my Patreon, I'm going to start posting tutorials on how I animate. So you could do that. And I'm going to put it on like, I try and keep all my Patreon rewards like on the lower end of the Patreon so that everyone from all over the world can access it. Like if you go to my Patreon, the lowest tier, I think is like, is it 2 or 3?
3.
It's 3. So it's $3 and you get access to like most of the benefits, the early access to videos, polls, all that kind of stuff. So I always try and keep it down the lower end so everyone can like enjoy those benefits. But yeah, if you want to learn how to animate like I do, one, you can watch my tutorials on Patreon, or there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube. If you just type in like how to use Adobe After Effects or how to do character animation in Adobe After Effects, you're going to get loads of tutorials. My favorite ones are like for maps. For the maps we do, there's a guy called Boone. Boone loves maps. It's Boone, loves maps. Great maps videos. For like character animation, you just have to type in character animation, and there's like hundreds of videos on it. And there's another guy I forget the name of. I'm not gonna recall the names, but you can just Google it or go to my Patreon and watch me explain it. Okay. Can you make a video on the Pompeii volcanic eruption? Actually, I had an idea in my head. This is what the Spanish flu video was going to be a part of like giant events that shaped history and the history behind them. Stuff like Krakatoa, Pompeii, Spanish flu, Black Death. The thing is like, and then the pandemic hit and I was like, I don't really want to make videos about like apocalyptic events and like depressing things at this time. So maybe in the future. Someone says, what mic are you using for your videos? I'm using the, okay, I'm going to lift this. I'm not sure if it's like going to be super noise. The Blue Yeti. There it is there. It's called the Blue Yeti. It's pretty okay. Like I mostly use it not for like, because it's like really good quality, but because it's like a USB, you just plug it in. I want to get a new microphone, but in order to get the new microphone, I have to buy like a really expensive microphone and then also like a weird expensive box that you plug the microphone into, and then that box goes into the computer, and that sounds like a lot. But I probably will get it because like the audio quality isn't good on the channel at the minute. Someone says, do I like potatoes? Yes. Yes, I do. I love potatoes. Potatoes are just amazing. Not only as a food, but just as like an important historical moment. Any books that you would like to recommend? The books I've been reading at the minute are kind of dense, and I wouldn't really recommend. Like at the minute, I'm reading like a book of like poems from Bobby Sands from prison, which is very specific to just me because I find that interesting. I wouldn't recommend it. It's again kind of sad. 1491, which I recommended before, great book. I read something really interesting recently. I just can't remember. I have to get my Kindle. There's a like if you're interested in like China and India's history, there's a guy called John Key, as in John and then Keay, who has a book on like the entire history of China and the entire history of India. They're not like super in depth because he has to cover the whole country, and he does have like a weird bias and like leaves things out that I wouldn't have left out, but they're like a good overview. So that's pretty good. Someone says, do I like stout? I love stout. I was actually going to grab a Guinness for this video, but here in the Netherlands, Guinness is like €2 and like 40 cents a can. And like, okay, that's, I'm not made of money, So I got this instead, which is like a beer. It's called Landerbrouw. Is it a stout? No. It says super strong though. Well, it's 12%. I didn't know that. That is super strong.
Somebody asked if it's as good as the Guinness back home.
No. Well, Guinness this is actually a conversation that Irish people could go on about forever, because everyone's like, the Guinness, because even in Ireland or in Dublin or across Ireland, People are like, that pub, bad Guinness, terrible Guinness. This pub, amazing Guinness. I know the good pubs in Dublin in order to get like decent Guinness, and the pubs that serve like absolutely scaldy Guinness that you don't want to go near. In my experience, Guinness in pubs outside of Ireland tends not to be great. You can just get it in a can, which is okay, but like if you want to get Guinness, only get it in Ireland or maybe in like an airport.
You can still get it in a can.
You can get it in a can, yeah. I'm saying you can get it in a can, but the can is just, it's not the same. Someone says, okay, well, series of all important people that shaped history. I actually had this idea in my head because I know there's this famous book called the 50 most important people in history, and I think it ranked like Muhammad as like the most important person in history, and then like second like Jesus, and then like a bunch of religious figures, which is fair. They are like, they tend to have like the most like personal impact on human lives, which Alexander the Great might be important, but he didn't really like influence like you know, he didn't influence like your personal life that much in the way that like, you know, the person whose religion you follow, you know. But I wanted to make, I don't know where I got this from, but I wanted to make a series like back when I first started the channel on that book, where like every video would just be like an entry on that list of like the 50 most important people, and I wouldn't be like ranking them. I would just be explaining like why you can make the argument that this person was like globally important or like one of the most important people, and then using that book as inspiration. But like the idea never went anywhere. And at the minute, like I'm thinking of making videos about like about like people and like their lives, like influential people, but it hasn't like, we're playing with the idea, and like it hasn't like quirks. Like we wanted to make a video on Nelson Mandela, but like we're trying to figure out how to phrase it, like how to like structure the video so it's not just like, oh, Nelson Mandela liked pizza and was in prison for a bit. You know, we wanted to like have a proper structured narrative that also like was factually correct and like unbiased, and that takes a while. I don't want to just like tell a story in like a storybook way of Nelson Mandela's life, or insert whoever's life we're covering, you know.
Kings and Generals is here.
Oh, is Kings and Generals in the live chat?
Yeah, they said congrats.
Hello, Kings and Generals. I can't tell when someone, like the chat is like going so fast that for me it's a blur. Oh, now I can see it. I should go into the other tab. But yeah, if anyone doesn't know, I used to work with Kings and Generals. We used to make videos together. Like I said earlier, we made like the Maya video and the Inca video and the Aztec videos. And if you're not subscribed to Kings and Generals, you should go subscribe. They make incredible videos of like proper like television quality, and they put them out super frequently. So, but I doubt you're not subscribed already. If you're subscribed to this channel, you subscribe to Kings and Generals. Okay. Someone's like, do I have kids? No, I have plants. And I think that's more important. The world needs more plants. You know? Someone says, what are my views on the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama? I don't have any views on the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama seems like a cool guy. I like Buddhism and I like Tibetan Buddhism, but I don't really have any views specifically on like their like the reincarnation, you know? Okay. Let's see.
Your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is hurling, which is like an Irish sport. It's like you get a bunch of men, or like actually the female version of it is called camogie as well. And you just you get a bunch of people. You give them like these sticks. You put them in a field, and there's a ball there, like a really small ball that you're supposed to hit into a goal. But the most fun part is like seeing the people like hit each other with sticks. I would put like a video up of a hurling match. It's too complicated, and I have no idea how to do it on the software. But Google hurling. Can you type hurling into the chat so they can see how to spell the word hurling? Yeah. It's an Irish sport. It's actually, I think, the fastest field sport in the world. It's just so much fun. I used to play it as a kid. I love to watch it. It's great. It's one of the two main like Irish sports. One is hurling and one is Gaelic football. I prefer hurling. Okay. Someone's like, what's my opinion on Conor McGregor? I don't know. He kind of seems annoying. He punches real good and fast and seems really strong. I wouldn't want to fight him. but I also wouldn't want to like be around him for more than 5 minutes. Someone's like, make a video on Chinese Kung Fu. That is a really interesting topic, but I feel like I don't know what I would say about Chinese Kung Fu. Like, would I explain the history of it? Would I show how it's done? This is the Kung Fu symbol, apparently. I don't know. Like, I don't think that's like my channel. I feel like there's probably is like martial arts channels, or even like specifically like Chinese martial arts channels that would do a better job of explaining Kung Fu. I feel like for us, like religions, anthropology, cultures, food, and like how like civilizations and cultures interact over time. It's kind of like what we do best.
Somebody just said alfajores.
Someone said alfajores, which again should be more famous. Alfajores are like these little like South American biscuits, but they're not really a biscuit because it's two biscuits, and in between the biscuits there's like this thing called dulce de leche, which is like kind of a caramel but better than caramel, and it's delicious, and everyone should eat them. Someone has typed multiple times that Britain looted $45 trillion from India, and like I would put it like as more than that. You can't really put like a specific number on how much like colonial powers stole from certain nations, because things can't, like, there's compound interest. If you steal, you know, if you destroy a temple that was earning so and so much money in 500 years or 200 years, whatever it is, the compound wealth that temple would have created can't even be calculated. It's way too much. Okay.
Somebody asked if you know who's behind the Spanish dubs of Explícame.
Someone said, do you know who's behind the Spanish... Someone says, do you know who is behind the Spanish dubs of Explícame? Well, we are, no? You do the voice of Explícame, and you also like write the subtitles. So I think it's me. Are you asking me like? Yeah, sorry, my wife is like on the behind the curtain, and she does like the whole Spanish channel. But yeah, but are you asking like, do you know the person behind the channel? As in, do I know myself? And that's a big question. That is big. My beer's starting to get kind of warm. There's so many lights in this room.
It's very warm.
Okay. Someone says, Cogito, are your sources for history study ideologically diverse, especially in terms of Indian history, as ideological bias in Indian history has been a big issue? Yeah. I always try to bring in like a diverse range of viewpoints whenever I'm researching a topic, because I know what my bias is. So I have to be careful not to inject my bias into a video. And I feel like the best way to do that is to read like a broad range of other people's opinions and researches on the topic. If I'm reading about Indian history, I'm not only going to use like British sources, you know, I'm not only going to use Indian sources, and I'm not only going to use Indian sources from a certain part of India. I'm going to grab like a bunch of these different sources, and I'm going to compare them together, and I'm going to try and make sense of what they're saying. If there are conflicts, why would they think there are conflicts? If an Indian source says this, and a British source says this, and then a German source says this, and then I know information from somewhere else, like how does that all work together? And then I will try and like back up whatever I think is the most like factually correct answer. But because like certain topics like Indian history has lots of sources, and so it does make it easier to do that, whereas other topics it's more difficult. But with Indian history, like, yeah, I try and bring in as many different sources as possible. Okay, can you make a Hinduism part 2? I wouldn't make it like a Hinduism, like what is Hinduism part 2, because people don't watch part 2s. But I will make more videos about Hinduism. Okay, let's see. Do a video on the Spanish Empire or the Mongol Empire. I actually have like an idea kind of floating about in my head of doing like the rise and the fall of the Spanish Empire, because it's fascinating. Like it's like Spain goes from being like this kind of rump state in Iberia, like at the north of Iberia. It reconquers most of the peninsula that isn't Portugal, from like the Moors and from like the Muslim empires that are there, and then immediately afterwards goes and conquers like half of the Americas, and then just falls apart like slowly, and then just becomes this kind of like shell, but it influences so much of the planet, and like it's so far flung that just by talking about the Spanish Empire, you include a bunch of different cultures and histories. And that's what I always try and go for. I always try and go for the topic where I'm like, ooh, this is going to cover like a bunch of different peoples. When I'm doing like coffee, it's like, I know for a fact that I'm, like, when I'm doing that video, I'm going to cover Ethiopia. I'm going to cover like the Ottoman Empire and the Arab states. I'm going to cover like indigenous people in North and Central America. I'm going to cover like the European Enlightenment. I'm going to cover India and like that's what I always try and go for. And for something like the Spanish Empire, I feel like that's good because it covers like, yeah, this broad range. I got to talk about the Philippines, which I'm dying to talk about. Haven't got to mention the Philippines yet. So yeah, that'll be fun. Someone says, can you explain the Viking period? Yeah, Viking period. People be Vikings. And other people didn't like that because they kept murdering them. But yeah, we'll make a video about the Vikings because Vikings are like objectively cool. And everyone loves to learn about them. And someone says, let me see, it's so fast.
Yeah, it goes really fast.
Someone says, I like the video on the history of chocolate. Can you please make a video on the history of different spices? Yep. We're going to make a video on like, maybe like a broad video on just like the history of spice and like the spice trade and the Silk Road and the Spice Boulevard. But yeah, maybe not specific spices. Like, although cinnamon could be a really interesting one to do because that has a kind of strange history. Like a lot of the conquistadors in South America were looking for like places like that had cinnamon. Like they really wanted cinnamon because like that was a huge spice. I think that would be good to go into. Someone said, can you make a video on how India got its name? Yeah, we could make that video. It's kind of included in the Hinduism one, as in like India got its name because of the Indus River, and the Iranians across the river called the people across that river Hindus, but they didn't know. They were called Sindhus. I forget. It's in the Hinduism video. Someone called someone Sindhu, and then it turned into Hindu, and then the Greeks heard the word Hindu, and Greek doesn't really include the sound Hindu, so they changed it to like a very Greek noise, which is like India. It went from like Sindhu, the Hindu, to India. Within India, like Indians don't call India in their own languages. It's called like Bharat. I could do a video on like where Bharat got its name from. But yeah, that's actually a good idea that I have to look more into.
Somebody asked, what's your workflow?
Ooh, what is it? Do you know have you ever seen Community where like there's the episode where they're all having an argument in the apartment and then one guy leaves the apartment, then he comes back and everything's on fire and he's holding pizzas? That's my workflow. Every single time I make a video, in my head I'm like, oh, in the next video I'm gonna do everything so much better. You know? And like it's gonna be so much more organized. It's gonna like I'm gonna like write the script, do the audio, draw everything, and I'm gonna animate in this perfect little flow, but in reality it never ends up that way. It's supposed to go, it normally goes like idea, research, writing, like storyboarding, how it's going to look, then narration, and then animation. But in reality, it tends to be like research, and then like the research goes on too long, and then it keeps going on a bit longer. And then I do the writing, and then that takes a while, and then I have like an existential breakdown. I'm like, what even is words? And then after like 3 weeks, the script is done, and then I begin to animate it. And the animation begins with like, oh, I have all these ideas about how I'm going to have this insane animation. And then I have to like kind of bring that back to like reality where it's like, you actually can't, animate an entire city with 5,000 coquitos, even if you want to. But yeah, we're trying to bring the workflow into a place that makes more sense. At the minute, it's a bit chaotic. But somehow the videos get made. Every single time the videos are finished, I'm shocked. I'm like, oh, a video. It was made. I didn't expect that. Someone says, can you do a history of pizza, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or popular foods? I actually want to do a video on Coca-Cola at some point because Coca-Cola has a really weird history, and that way I get to talk about Coca without having to make a video called the history of Coca, because that would get demonetized. History of Coca-Cola could be really cool, yeah. Can you make a video about Tibetan people? And yeah, Tibetan people I feel like get super overlooked. The whole Tibetan plateau region, and then like the kind of steppes, like the hilly region that extends into like Southeast Asia, is super interesting and like essentially like never gets covered in most historical things. Like the Tibetans had their own empire and their own like distinct, strong, like independent culture for like thousands of years in one of the most inhospitable regions on the planet. So like I would like to like cover them, but I don't know anything about them. So it would take me a while to even get up to speed to a point where I feel like, oh, I can do this. But you know, eventually. People keep saying the word coriander has come up in the chat too many times and I'm upset and I'm scared that maybe a coriander might appear and soap me. Someone said coriander is good in curry, and I feel like this is where I need to specify that coriander is a leaf. Like the leafy part of coriander is disgusting. The seeds perfectly fine. Like the leafy part, the part that like Americans and like in Spanish is called cilantro, that's disgusting. Coriander seeds, perfectly fine. Someone says, what are my views in the Kama Sutra? I don't know. Seems like a nice book. Don't have views on it. Can you do a video on Dravidian folk religion? I actually feel like after we're done with all the like large organized religions, although organized religion probably isn't the best way of doing it, because like Taoism isn't like, is it organized? Is it not? Doesn't matter. All the major world religions, we'll probably get into like folk religions after that. So sometime like, I don't know, we're doing Christianity now, and then we have Confucianism, Shintoism, a few more organized ones, and then we'll get into folk. So maybe next year, hopefully. Can you make a video on the Sanskrit language? Yeah, I'm dying to make a video on like all of the like classical languages of the world. I'm not a linguist, and I feel like I need to like research more before I can even like think of like how to phrase that. Like how do I make a video on like the Sanskrit language? Do I want to make it in like, this is how Sanskrit works, like this is like how vowels work in Sanskrit, or do I want to make a video on like the history of Sanskrit? And then you also like, you come across like Sanskrit's super controversial. People have very strong opinions on the history of Sanskrit that I would like to research very in depth before I even like talk about it, because I don't want to get anything wrong. I don't want to like mess up and say like completely false history about Sanskrit. So I'd have to look at it like really well. Even though like no matter what you say in the end, it's gonna annoy some people. But yeah, it would take me months to get up to speed on something like Sanskrit.
Somebody asked, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm very warm. I'm not normally this red. It just, there's so many lights in this room. And it's a very small room. Like you can see this section of it, and that's mostly it. There's a door. Like my wife is there, and then she's in the doorway. The desk just ends at the door. It's a really tiny room, but it's the only room that has like an Ethernet port.
It's also a very warm day.
It's also a very warm day. Yeah, the Netherlands, I didn't expect it, but it's boiling. And it's really humid. Someone's like, can we do a video on Bengali people? Yeah, I'm dying to do a video on Bengali people, because Bengali people are like one of the largest people groups on the planet. I think it goes like Han Chinese is like the biggest group of people on the planet, and then Arabs, and then Bengali people. And I feel like just because there's so many of them, and there has always been so many of them, the history must be like insanely complex, and I'd love to get into it. But I would need to do more research before I even like give an opinion on anything. I don't know anything about Bengali people other than like a few things about like the British colonization of Bengal. And Naveen Kumar gave us a super chat, which I think is in Canadian dollars. But yeah, thank you for that super chat. And he says, just keep doing what you're doing, especially the way you do it. Planning on purchasing your merch too. Thank you. Yeah, if you see something in our merch store you really like, yeah, go ahead. Like, I would really appreciate that. We try and keep our merch like up to date with funny things that people will like. We try and make our merch so that like it's something like worth wearing, you know, not just like random stuff that doesn't look good.
Somebody asked if you like Duolingo.
I do like. I like Duolingo, as in like Duolingo is like useful if you want to get like to grips with like basic words in a language. But the problem with Duolingo is that like you start learning like lots of like nonsense, as in like I feel like Duolingo should start with like, hello, how much does a cup of coffee cost? Hello, goodbye, thank you, see you later. Those should be the first things Duolingo gets into. Like, I would like a bottle of wine, or how do I get to the taxi place where taxis be? But instead, Duolingo is like, today I met a lion, or my sister has an apple. And I'm like, cool, but like I know when I'm learning the words for sister and apple, but like it's better to like give me sentences that work. Like if I want to learn Dutch on Duolingo, for example, which I currently am, I know the words for like meisje is like girl, man is man, jonge is boy, apfel is apple. I'm like, cool, useful in like a very certain context, but why haven't you taught me how to be like, what can I get my receipt? You're like, I don't know. How much does this cost? Why am I learning the word for apple before I'm learning the word for like how much does this cost, which like is more useful. Where am I should be like one of the first questions any language thing teaches you, because then if you get lost in a new place, which you probably are because you learn the language, you can go up to the person like, where am I? And yeah. Someone says lots of loves from Venezuela. Lots of love to Venezuela. Love Venezuelans. I want to make a video on Venezuela, but I have to do more research, which is my answer to every single thing. But I do. You just need to do more research. I'm not just going to make a video without doing research. Can you make a video on the oldest temples of the world? That sounds like a good idea. I actually have an idea in my head to make a video on like these temples in Ethiopia, which are like carved into the earth. As in like, there's this like super rocky region, like cliffs. And then if you're walking along these cliffs, all of a sudden you see like a pit in the ground, and you see this temple. And if you look at it, you're like, oh my God, they just carved the temple from the earth. Like you can see that like in India also has like rock cut temples. Like a lot of places have them, but the ones in Ethiopia look insane. Like they're the kind of thing where like, how long did this take? How did you make people do this? And they just look gorgeous. Someone says history of headwear. History of like certain types of headwear, like the Pope's hat, or like turbans, which like people like don't really know a lot about. Like people like talk about like turbans a lot, or like burqas or like hijabs. That's like a good video. But the history of headwear in general is like everyone wears not everyone wears heads. Everyone wears things on their heads, and it's too broad. Someone says my thoughts on bilingual coins. Are there bilingual coins? I don't know. I've never seen a bilingual coin. I probably have a bilingual coin on me. Are euros bilingual? I don't know. I look at the numbers on coins. Maybe other places have bilingual coins. Someone says, can you make a video on the Chola Empire? Yeah. Chola Empire is on the list because I didn't get to talk about them enough. I had to leave out this really cool, interesting thing about the Chola Empire, which is like the Chola Empire was like kind of democratic, as in like the Chola Empire wasn't like an empire in the same way like the Roman Empire or like the Han Empire was an empire, like these super centralized states. The Cholas were kind of like decentralized. You had the emperor, and like at the top with all of his nobles, and he controlled like the military, and he controlled like the treasury, and he controlled like foreign relations. But everything else that was happening in like the Chola Empire was controlled by like village councils. All of the villages, or at least a good amount of the villages, especially in South India, would elect representatives to represent the village, and those representatives would like gather, and they would be like, okay, how do we like build irrigation? How much money should we use to like build a certain like water tank? And we actually have, I can't say the name of the place, but around like the 11th century, we actually have a constitution from one of these villages. So if you just Google like Chola democratic constitution, it'll come up. A constitution from one of these villages, and it's like, in order to become a representative of this village, you must get so and so many votes. You must be of good character. You must have never taken a bribe. You must never have like suspicion against you. If you do take a bribe, or if you like do like a lewd act, you are completely banned from ever being a politician ever again. Which, you know, probably learned a little bit about that from them, you know. Yeah, fascinating. That's how the Chola Empire lasted so long. Like by Roman standards, it didn't, because the Romans lasted like 1,000 years. But Indian empires tended to like rise and fall over like periods of like 200 years. Like if you look at like a map of India over time, the empire names are changing constantly. But the Cholas were around for like from like the 9th, like the 13th century. Like that's a really long time. And the reason they could do it was because like this like decentralized democratic, like it depends what you mean by democratic, but like yeah, this kind of like decentralized system kind of allowed them to be like kind of like versatile, and they could like take hits that like a centralized state couldn't take. And they also had this concept that the king would go and he would conquer other or raid other places, bring gold back, and then also like just make gold like through the economy, like through merchants, get loads of gold, and they would donate them to temples, and the temples would give the gold to like the villages and the people, and then as loans, and then that would also like cause people to be more prosperous and have more money. I missed the super chat, did I?
Yeah.
So I was too busy. Like, look, if you start me talking about the Cholas, I'm gonna go on a rant. So Gordon Thomas, thank you so much for your $5 super chat, and you say, for when you get to the taxi place where the taxis be, thank you for all your hard work. Look, if people can tell me in each language how to say where is the taxi place where the taxis be, you can survive. Like, drop me in. You can drop me in Afghanistan. You can drop me in Paraguay. You can drop me in like northern China. If I know how to say, how do I get to the taxi place where taxis be, I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna be fine. It's gonna cost me lots of money because a taxi from northern China to the Netherlands is probably like at least several euro, but it'll help me.
Somebody asked when you started YouTube.
I started YouTube in 2015. No?
I think so.
I think I uploaded a video in 2015 with like an entirely different style. It was still animated, but the characters were completely different. But then I didn't upload another video again for like another year. So officially 2016. I think Cogito channel starting was probably the most important thing to happen in 2016. No other important events happened that year. Someone says, can I make a video on the Maratha Empire? I think someone already asked that. Yeah, we will. Oh, this is actually great. Theo Dixon says, can you make a video on the African diasporic religions like Santeria, which are influential in like Cuba and other Latin American countries? Yeah. African diaspora religions in all of Latin America are fascinating and don't get talked about. Like, I've been to Uruguay a lot, and in Uruguay they have this religion called Lemeshun is a type of Turkish pizza. Lemensha is the religion I'm thinking of. Lemensha is this religion that they have in Uruguay and Brazil that came from like slaves, and they worship this kind of like goddess, like a mother goddess of the sea. No, kind. It's like a sea mother goddess, and it's incredible to go see. Like, I've seen it in Uruguay. Everyone, like, one day of the year goes to the beach, and you'll see these people dressed in all white robes, and they'll go out onto the beach into the waves, and they were like with like watermelon boats or paper boats or candles, and they'll put them out into the sea for Le Mencha, the goddess. And that's fascinating. That's fascinating to see. And I couldn't find much information on it when I was curious. So I would like to make a video to tell people about that kind of stuff. Yeah, stuff like Santeria, stuff like Le Mencha. There's a bunch of like West African religious concepts in a lot of South America, especially like Brazil and Mexico. Okay.
Somebody said Yemencha. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I always this might make me sound really ignorant, but I do get the words Le Mencha and Le Meshun, which is a type of like mince pie.
Something.
It's like a Turkish mince pizza. I get them very confused because they sound similar to me. Someone says make a Cogito India channel. I have so much to do. Like this channel takes like I work on a full time, and I work on it more than full time. I work like 2 full-time jobs on this channel. It's like an 80-hour a week job on like good weeks. I don't mind because I love it, but like I don't have time to do other channels. We like my wife covers like the Spanish channel, and that even doing that's like a huge amount of work. So other language channels are something that like I'm looking at in maybe like a few years, because at the minute it's I already have too much work. Someone says, how did you start working with Kings and Generals? Well, that was a few years ago, but they just messaged me and were like, do you want to make videos for Kings and Generals? And I was like, yes I do. And then which honestly at the time I couldn't animate very well, but I don't think they knew that. Because they brought me in and they're like, can you animate? And I was like, of course, yes, excellent animation. It's like a Disney movie. I just keep yeah, and then I made videos for them and I slowly got better animating. I don't think the videos on this channel would be as good if I didn't get to practice and learn so much while working for Kings and Generals.
People keep asking about Discord and subreddits.
We have a subreddit. The subreddit is r/Cogito.edu. And we also have a Discord, but the Discord is only for patrons. So, but you get it, like, if you do, like, the minimum patron pledge of, like, $3, you get access to our Discord. And every now and then we talk in there. It doesn't have a lot of people at the moment. So if you want to join our Discord, join our Patreon. You can come and we can all chat together. Varun V says, video on Indian food to break the stereotype. And you super chatted, like, 40 rupees. Thank you so much. You just saw me talk about the Chola Empire. You already saw me rant about cheese. I'm passionate about Indian topics and I'm passionate about food. And I think if I made a video on Indian food, it would not end. The video would never come out because I would just research constantly. I tried to make idli, like for the Tamil video. I was like, I'm going to record myself making idli for the Tamil video, and that's going to be a great part of the video. No, it didn't work. I just couldn't do it. I love Indian food so much, and I would love to make a video about it, but it's also like, it's a very broad topic. So I'm not sure if I'll make that video about it, but if someone else wants to make that video about it, I'll watch it. Speaking of Indian food, I don't think there's any food in the world I like as much. I am a curry person. Curry is by far one of my most favorite foods because I like spicy food. I really, 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 really super, like, really, like, to the power of 12, love spicy food. And Indian food is the best at doing that. They use spices better than anyone. I actually have a story about, like, a Sri Lankan restaurant I went to. Not appropriate, but Sri Lankan food is very spicy and affects the gut, is what should be said. But yeah, love Indian food. I don't think I'll make a video specifically on it, but if at any point it comes up, like in research, like I did about the Tamils, where I can talk about it, I will.
Somebody said coriander is core part of Indian food.
I know coriander is a core part of Indian food. People have commented, that the coriander is, like, central in Indian food. And it's also, like, my two favorite foods are Mexican food and Indian food. And coriander is, like, the main ingredient of most of them. The important thing, though, is that those foods are very spicy. And the spice helps, like, wash the, like, soapy coriander flavor out. So I don't mind that. Whereas, like, in Vietnamese food, that also uses a lot of coriander, it's not as spicy, and so I taste all the soap. So in Indian and Mexican food, I don't mind coriander as much because, like, it's kind of hidden, and also I pick it out a lot of the time. So Ritish Vikram says, thank you for all your hard work on the Tamils video. Thanks for watching it. I'm really happy that, like, you guys liked it. For me, it wasn't hard work. For me, like, I could have kept... This chair is not good. For me, it wasn't hard work. I could read about the Tamils forever. That was one of the problems with the video, is that I just kept researching. It got delayed like 4 times. I had to talk to the sponsor, like, remove the sponsor. Like, it was a mess just because I kept reading. This isn't the name's fault. I actually just can't read super well when the text is moving. But it says, Abhiram Singh says, how can I learn to animate like you? I already answered this, but if you want, I'm going to start making tutorials on how I animate. I'm going to put them on Patreon. If you don't want to subscribe to my Patreon, perfectly fine. I get that. You're not obliged to. You can go on YouTube and you can type in, like, how to use Adobe After Effects. And then once you've got the basics of Adobe After Effects, you want to learn how to do character animation. And then using just that, like character animation and Adobe After Effects, like, you do the character animation inside of Adobe After Effects. And then I learned a lot from watching, like, I got a book made by a guy who used to animate at Disney called, like, not good at remembering books. The Principles of Animation? Is it 12 Laws of Animation? Something like that, which helped me a lot. It's like all about like squash and stretch and continual movement. It's really useful.
12 basic principles of animation.
The 12 is it really called that? Does it have like a bunch of characters like walking?
The Illusion of Life.
The Illusion of Life,
The
yeah. The Illusion of Life is not the book I'm talking about, but is another book that was really good. I think if you find that, you'll find the other one. The Animator's Survival Kit. That's the name of it. Animator Survival Kit. That helped me a lot with my animation. Okay, I'm missing super chats. So Abhishek Tripati says, appreciate your work. And he, thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, appreciate you watching. I'm always shocked that people watch the videos. Because, yeah, it still surprises me that so many people like them. Okay. Someone was talking about when they said bilingual coins, they were talking about like Tamil Brahmi script and Greek bilingual coins. Okay, yeah, that was very specific. Yeah, as someone that researches history, now bilingual coins make sense. As someone that researches history, bilingual coins are actually very important because they do actually help us like figure out like what countries or what group are interacting. Like when you see a coin that has a Greek king's face and Greek writing on one side and a Tamil king's face on the other side, that it's really useful to let us know that the Greeks and Tamils were interacting. It was especially useful up north in North India and Afghanistan around the Fergana Valley, where you had this like weird Greek colony where you had Greek kings living in like Central Asia, and they had like, you could tell they were Greek because the coins they made were like in Greek, and like, yeah, bilingual coins. Approve. Okay.
Somebody asked, what do you think the world will be like in the future?
I don't know, it's hard to tell.
It's lagging.
It's one of those things where it's like you can only assume what the world will look like in the future using like your current perspective. It's like the famous quote from like Henry Ford where he's like, oh, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So it's like, for me, I would say, oh, in the future, like phones will like be really small, or like we'll have phones in our glasses, or like people will be more interconnected, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. You never know like what event will happen that will completely shift our perspective. Maybe like an event happens where we're like, we don't need phones anymore because we have something else, or language like vanishes because we have like perfect translators. I don't know. Future. All I know is I'm gonna have more plants. Someone says, Varun V gave us a super chat and he says, video on Kalar e Payatu, which is a martial art from South India. I might be confusing it with the martial art that I put in the video, which is like a martial art from Kerala and Tamil Nadu, which is mostly based on like a shield and sword. But there's a bunch of South Indian martial arts. Like one of them is Silabam, which is the martial art that you use a bamboo stick, which looks really cool, where they twirl the stick a lot and they do lots of these moves. But yeah, South India has a lot of martial arts, and that no one really talks about. Everyone knows Kung Fu. Everyone knows like Jiu-Jitsu. No one knows that much about Silabam, you know? Okay.
Somebody asked, what gave you the inspiration to start the channel?
The inspiration, the thing that inspired me to like start the channel was looking at other people's videos and kind of being like, I want to do that. Or also like, a lot of times I would go through YouTube and be like, there's videos here that I want to, like, that I sound interested in, but I don't like, I'm not super interested in. And so I just made the videos that like I wanted to watch. So I was like, if you want to make your own YouTube channel, one, you should. Everyone should make YouTube channels. It's just a good way of like documenting everything happening on the planet. And I want other people to make them so that I can go look at your channels. But if you're thinking of making a channel, the idea should always be like, I want to make the videos that I would want to watch. And that's the problem I had. There was a bunch of things I wanted to see and they weren't being made. Things close to them were being made, like videos by like Crash Course and Sweeney and all these kind of stuff. And so I just made the one I wanted to watch. Do a video on the first Islamic Caliphate? Yeah, probably will. We actually have barely covered Arab or Islamic history at all. And so I'd love to do videos on like, the Islamic Caliphates, the Golden Age. I also want to do videos on like the part of the Islamic world that gets left out a lot, which is like West Africa and Central Asia. Places like Mali, and then also up in Central Asia there's a city that I always forget the name of. that is called... I really thought doing that was going to make it pop into my head. It was called Bukhara. No. Is it Bukhara? Merv. What's the one I'm thinking? Samarkand. I knew it would come if I just started saying random names. Samarkand. I want to do a video about Samarkand and Mali and all the kind of like... Everyone like has heard about the first and second and third Islamic caliphates. And I will do videos on them, but I also want to do parts of the Islamic world you don't hear about. Like, yeah, Mali, Samarkand, all the things in Central Asia, and also down in Indonesia, which I don't know. I actually, like, I was like, yes, Mali's over here. Indonesia, yeah, it's somewhere down there. But yeah. Okay. We got a super chat from Ayush Jha, who said your animation art style is so great that you can make a religion out of this. If someone wants to make a religion out of our animation style, I would happily make a video explaining your religion. And says, can you make a video on the Aztec and Inca empires? Yes, I'm obsessed with the Aztecs. I'm doubly obsessed with the Incas and expect videos about them soon. Expect like 12 videos about the Incas. I can't control myself about the Incas. I love the Incas so much. The Inca are insane. No one should live in the Andes. They are violent and they shouldn't be farmed. But then it wasn't the Inca that first went there, but the Andean people were like, I don't care. I'm going to live so and so many thousands of kilometers above sea level in this harsh, like unpredictable climate. And I'm going to make one of the largest, most successful civilizations. And I'm going to give the earth potatoes and llamas and alpacas because I can. And that's incredible. And they had this insane system of like, people call the Incas like a proto-socialist state, which isn't true because like that's not what socialism is. Like the Inca didn't control the means of production, blah, 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 blah. But they had this really cool concept, whereas like you had the Inca emperor and you had the Inca people. And every year the Inca people would like, instead of paying taxes, would just work on whatever the emperor said for like 2 months. They would just go and the emperor would like, I need a river diverted. I need loads of potatoes planted. And I have you for 2 months, you're going to go do it. And then in return for that tax, the Incas built warehouses all over the Andes. And anyone that wanted could go to the warehouse and they'd be like, I need like 7 llama jackets. I need 2 months worth of potatoes. And the warehouses just distributed the goods. And this made like living in the Andes possible because the Andes are like kind of unpredictable. Like there's so many different climates that like storms or like disease can affect different places at different times. And so yeah, one part of the year a place can do really well, for the rest of the year it can do really badly. And having this kind of like this net of like resources that anyone could draw from like help them survive in like a super harsh environment. And I could talk about that forever. Someone's like potato gang. It's not even a potato gang. Potato empire. We're not a gang anymore. Potatoes are the most important thing of all time.
Somebody asked, how do you start your research? Any source you refer to?
Someone said, how do we start our research? Any source you refer to? I tend to go to Wikipedia for the beginning of everything, just because it gives like a really broad overview, and also the sources are all down below. I also, for religion videos, I have like this 9-volume encyclopedia of religions I go to. For the people's videos, I also have like this encyclopedia of peoples around the world. And when research starts, like if I want to learn about... if I want to learn about like the Tamils, I'll go to like the encyclopedia of peoples that I have and I'll read their section on the Tamils. The encyclopedia I have isn't great, as in like the section of the Tamils is like this big and like mostly incorrect, but it has sources that I can go check and those sources are correct. The person that just wrote the book wasn't good. But it's always good to go to like a directory first, and then the directory tells you where to go to. And like I consider Wikipedia more as like a directory than a source.
Somebody asked, how do I start with learning ancient history? Recommendations for beginners?
Okay, yeah. So someone asked, how can I start to learn about ancient history? Any recommendations for beginners? So if you go to like Crash Course, like World History, the first few videos there will like get you up to date on most of like ancient history. And then when you find a thing you're interested in, like you're interested in the Indus Valley civilization, Yeah, go to Wikipedia. Go to like Goodreads. I actually use Goodreads a lot, and I'll type in like Indus Valley Civilization and see what books come up. I'll read the reviews if people are saying these are good books, not good books, and then if it is a good book, I'll get that book. And at the beginning, I always try and get like the more kind of popular history or like a simpler version, because that will give me like simpler explanations and won't be as dense and boring. And then once I get into that topic, like I've read like a popular book about the Indus Valley Civilization, then you can go into like more like specific things. Like you can read a book like this is the whole Indus Valley Civilization, and then once you know it, they'll be like, this is like architecture of the Indus Valley Civilization. This is a book about like how the Indus Valley Civilization built specific bricks for toilets. You know, you're not going to read that book right away. You're only going to read that book when you're already invested. Same as like I love Roman history, I love Greek history, and I love Aztec history. But I wouldn't read a book on like Aztec military ranks or uniforms or like Inca farming practices if I hadn't already read like the popular history book that gave me like a really fun intro to Inca history. If you're looking for a book about Inca history, The Last of the Incas by a girl, like a lady called, I don't remember. I want to say it begins with a J. One second, I'm going to Google it. Last of the Incas by Kim Macquarie. So it wasn't a J, but it was close. K's right next to it. So Last of the Incas is the kind of book that you want to read when you're first getting into a topic. It gives you a great overview. It's really like engaging and doesn't like get bogged down in boring details. And that's the kind of book you want to go for at the very beginning. So yeah, if you want to get into ancient history, just look for popular history books. They're not always like 100% correct, but that's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is like an introduction. And then once you have the introduction, you can go and get other stuff.
Super chat.
Oh, it's a super chat, sorry. Varun V says, can you make a video on the Indian caste system? Well, we mentioned the caste system in the Hinduism video. And the trouble with making a video on the caste system, which I would love to do because it's fascinating, and it's also kind of misconstrued a lot in a way to like attack India, and like a lot of British propaganda comes out about the caste system as well. The thing is, finding sources for it that explain it well, that are like not either like totally in support of it or totally against it, is difficult. And when that kind of situation happens, that just means I have to do much more research, which means it's going to take me many more weeks. So in order to do a video on the caste system, I would have to take like what, 4, 5, 6 weeks just to read like these sources and then like kind of get the truth out of them. And the thing is, with something like the caste system is like, people have different opinions on what the caste system is. And I'd have to take all that into account as well. But yeah, at some point in the future, when I feel like I'm better at explaining things or researching, I'll probably do something on like stuff like the caste system. There's lots of like things like that. We wanted to make a video in the Islam video, like jihad was a whole section, because jihad is also like a very misconstrued topic. Within the religion, it means something very different than how people outside the religion see it. But I didn't feel comfortable explaining it because I knew I would need more research, and then if I went into it, it would just take forever to make the video. So I cut it from the video, and I was like, I'm going to make an individual video on it later. And the caste system's kind of in that section too. Someone's like, how many books do you read a week? There's some weeks where I read like 5 books, and there's most weeks where I just read none. When I'm in like research mode, I can plow through like 4 books in like a few days, because I'll just sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a full work day. I'll do 9 hours. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to do 20 minutes of reading, 5 minutes break. And by doing that, you can read a lot. And in the 5-minute break, you kind of process everything you just read. And I also take lots of notes. So in some weeks, 4 or 5 books. Then when I'm not researching, my brain doesn't want to look at any more books. Except for at night, I read at night. But that's like, I maybe like finish like 1 book a week by reading at night. But yeah, because now I work by reading, as in like I have to read for work. In my free time, I don't read as much as I would like.
Somebody asked, what's the most difficult video you've made so far?
Okay, yeah. So Getroactive says, what's the most difficult video you've made so far? Oof. Let me think. 1 second. I'm gonna have my most difficult video. The Sand People. the San people / Bushman people of Namibia was super difficult because I kept taking notes, as in like I read all these books, and then by the time I had finished all the books, the like document they had of notes was like 200,000 pages, like not pages, dear lord, words long. And so like reading just the notes I took on the topic took like 3 days to get through. And then, yeah, just it took forever and it was super complicated. And I got like really upset because I was like, oh, I don't want to like leave information out because I don't want to do these people wrong. I want to like explain the story correctly. And I remember like it was a real struggle of a video to get through just because I was like, oh, I'm not going to get this correct. I'm going to like the information, like I need to do more research and more research and more research. And then eventually I was like, okay, if you have 200,000 words of notes, you've done enough research. Just write the script. And that took even more weeks. But yeah, I think the San people of all videos like really like was like difficult. Someone's like, please make a video on Egyptian mythology. I actually want to make a video on like, yeah, I want to start a series where we explain like the mythologies of different cultures. Irish mythology, I really want to start a series on because Irish mythology is just fun. There's loads of swans. Which is just fun, objectively fun. Swans, good time. Egyptian mythology, Indian mythology is massive. Chinese, Greek, all of it. Aztec, Maya. I want to do a lot of like, yeah, the Iroquois, Great Lakes people mythology. But I'm like, when do I start that series? Because I already have so many topics. We already have so much stuff we need to do. When do we start the mythology series? But yeah, I do hope to start at some point. Let's see. Video on someone says, can you make a video on the Lord of the Rings universe? I could. I just don't feel like that's like this channel. You know, we deal with like history and anthropology and religion, and there is some religion in Lord of the Rings. Like it is connected to like Tolkien's like Christianity, but like I don't think it's for us. I think there's a lot of videos already on that as well that would do it better. Okay.
Somebody asked, how do you prepare your scripts?
Okay, so somebody said, yeah, how do we prepare our scripts? I would not describe our scripts as in any way prepared. I do the research and then I just type. Like, you know? And as I type, my brain is like, you can't type. Why are you doing words? This doesn't make any sense. This is terrible. Don't ever type again. No one should read what you tipped. And I do that for like 2 weeks, and then eventually a script comes out of it. Every single time it happens, we have the same conversation where I'm like, this is not going to work. This script it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. This is like not the script that someone should have wrote. And then people are like, oh, I love this script. It was great. And it's the same problem every single time. But yeah, there's no preparation. It's pure chaos. I want to get help with writing the scripts. That's one of the things we're looking for, is for like help with writing, because I just find it really difficult personally. It takes a lot of work. I would like, for me, animation is like easy. I could animate for like, well, I do. Whenever like we have a video coming out, the last 4 or 5 days, it's just like 24 hours animating. As in like I've fallen asleep like this in the chair before while animating because the stretches are so long, and I don't mind because I love it. Writing though is painful.
A couple of people ask what you do for a living.
I do people ask what I do for a living. I do this for a living. Like the whole channel is like what I do for a living. The English channel and the Spanish channel, that's our whole income. We have our sponsors and our patrons, obviously. And that's just like what we do. Super grateful because it's an insane job. It's like a dream job, pretty much.
Somebody asked, what's your favorite historically accurate movie of all time?
Oh, okay. So someone said, what is our favorite historically accurate movie of all time?
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is 100% accurate. Thing is,
History of New Zealand.
there's no historically accurate movies because you can't make a historically accurate movie because like we don't even know what is historically accurate. It's like you could go watch like what's the movie about the Crusades? The Kingdom of Heaven is like pretty okay, I think. What I've heard is like pretty on point. But it's also like, yeah, you're not actually capturing like the story as it happened. Or if you watch something like 1918 or 1914, whatever that World War One movie that came out recently was, 1917. Yeah, it explains like that one part of like a soldier's experience in World War One. And people might be like, oh, well, the guns weren't accurate, or like he should have been wearing this kind of uniform, which for me is irrelevant. But like the movie doesn't like explain like why World War One happened, or like no one gives in that movie gives like an opinion on World War One or anything like that. And I don't know, I just feel like historically accurate movies are never gonna happen because history is way too complicated. You can get a movie though that feels like or like does a good job of expressing the emotion of like that moment. I feel like 1917 was really good at expressing like how afraid or how brutal World War One was, you know, which I think that's what you should aim for. I feel like historical movies should aim much more for like expressing the emotion or like the feeling or like that kind of thing about a historical moment, rather than being like, well, the uniform wasn't correct, therefore this movie makes no sense historically. Because that like it's irrelevant if a person's like using the correct gun or something.
Somebody asked, "What's your favorite mythology?"
Ooh, someone asked like, "What's my favorite mythology?" I would say, and I might be biased, Irish mythology is just super fun. Like it's just great. It's like a really fun time. So Irish mythology will go from like an epic battle on top of like a mountain about a cow, to like, oh, this man is the smartest man in the world because he licked the correct wisdom fish perfectly. And there's always a kind of humor, and another great part of Irish mythology is that women play like an enormous part in Irish mythology, and you have all these kind of like reoccurring characters. I feel like Irish mythology is a lot like the Avengers universe, where like plots like rely on each other and the people pop up from time to time. Yeah, and it's really fun. Yeah, that's by far like my favorite one. Obviously, I like all the other ones. All mythology is interesting because it's the only reason we know about it was because the story was passed down, and the only stories that got passed down were the interesting ones. There's no like boring myths. No one's ever like, oh, Zeus went to the shop and got milk, because that story was dropped because no one cared. But the story where Zeus turns himself into a swan and like, you know, non-consensually goes around the planet, get preserved because they're interesting. Or like, oh, someone went to go steal a fleece, or like not Arjuna, what's the other one, Rama, he goes through India looking for his wife, and you know the story where Rama, like, I don't know, like gets his hair cut obviously isn't included because it's not interesting, but all the really interesting parts, they get preserved over like thousands of years.
Somebody asked, if you could travel to a historic moment, what historic question would you want to see and answer for yourself?
Ooh. If I could travel to any historic moment and see something happen for myself. That's actually kind of difficult because like most historic moments are like kind of violent, you know? Especially the ones like of the places that I'm interested in. I would love to go to like and observe, this is very important, observe from a distance like Hernan Cortez, or Gonzalo Pizarro, you know? Not Gonzalo Pizarro, what's his first name? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Pizarro and Cortez. Francisco Pizarro, yeah. Or Christopher Columbus, or Magellan, you know? And just like see what their opinion is, you know? I would love to go and like float above Cortez as he's deciding like, I'm gonna go murder a whole civilization, and just see like what his reactions are. Like how, like when he walks into this city of a people group he's never seen before and sees like thousands of people speaking languages he's never heard in a culture he's like can't even understand, and be like, just if he's like, smells weird, or like, what's that food, you know? I want to see his opinions, you know? I feel like that's fascinating, and I feel like I never get to see it. I want to see like, you know, their like day-to-day experience doing like this very important stuff. I want to like be a fly on the wall as Napoleon is having a meeting about like, you know, the Austrians. He's like, what's his thought process? Is he annoyed? Is he like excited? How is he thinking? Does he stop a lot? Is he very quiet? That kind of stuff. And also like cultures I've never seen before. I'd love to like be a fly on the wall in like 50,000 BC in like a tent when someone's about to hunt a mammoth. I want to see like how they plan it, how they think about it. Are they happy to like? Are they like, oh, I'm gonna go kill the mammoth? And someone's like, you're not gonna go kill the mammoth, ugh. I'm gonna get the first strike on the mammoth. And then, you know, are all the people picking berries being like, ugh, the berries, we eat more berries than mammoth. Why do all the mammoth people get all the attention? I want to see that happen. Or like, yeah, be a fly on the wall when Alexander's generals are talking about Alexander behind his back. You know? Are they like, this is a stupid idea? Like, why are we invading India? Why can't I go back to Greece to my wife? Like, why? This doesn't make any sense. Like, why are we even here? You know, because I doubt they say that to him, and I doubt anyone wrote it down, but I believe that conversation happened. Okay. I actually completely forgot what the question was. Okay, yeah, I think we're going to answer like a few more questions, and then we'll close this down, because I think we're like approaching like 3 hours now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I'm hungry, so... So what do you think about the cultural similarities between Indian and Egyptian civilization? I'm never really surprised about any cultural similarities between any civilizations, because obviously they all sprang from like similar roots. Like almost all of the civilizations from like Eurasia spring up from like the Fertile Crescent and people that left from the Fertile Crescent. Like so like they're obviously going to have like similar connections. You see like bulls appear in mythology in like Crete and India and across all the distance in between, because I assume like the people like that they branched out from had a thing for bulls, you know. Same as like when you see like architectural similarities, and like people like were talking before, like people didn't write a lot of stuff down, so it's like I guarantee a lot of people were talking that we just don't know about, and so things spread around and pop up in different places and we just don't know why. But yeah, there probably is a lot of similarities between Indian and Egyptian civilization, because they had connections with each other as well. India and Egypt traded thousands of years ago, mostly through Mesopotamia. But yeah, someone says they thought I was Spanish. I'm not Spanish. I can't tan at all. Some Spanish people can't tan either, to be honest. I lived there. Some of them burned to a crisp, but I'm not Spanish. I'm from Ireland.
Somebody also said you don't look like Cogita.
I don't look like the character, but like, if I did this and got rid of my neck and wore a green t-shirt without a panda, like I could look kind of like him. I don't have any images of the Cogito character around here, but like, I don't know. And someone says, can you please explain what the extravaganza is? It's just an extravaganza. It doesn't have any meaning. Just extravaganza. Because you guys all, like, not guys, you all subscribed to this channel. All 300 and something thousand of you, and that's insane. That's an extravaganza. And this is just me trying to like connect and thank you all. Let's see. Someone says India is not the only country in the world. That is true. Yeah. Someone says, can I make a video on how the British conquered most of the world? Because they tried to. Most of the people just didn't do that. You know, it's like they had boats and they went to places and people were like, oh, hi, welcome. And they were like, pew, pew.
Somebody asked, why do you decide to make potatoes your signature meme?
Oh, so someone asked, why do we make potatoes our signature meme? Because potatoes are important. Potatoes are more important than you know. As in, it's not just like, potatoes are delicious. As in, like, there's no, like, French Empire without potatoes, you know? There's no, like, Dutch East Indies without potatoes. There's no, like, modern China without potatoes. If you don't have this crop, potato, this like super easy to grow, hardy crop that grows in like almost any weather on all of the planet, you don't get these giant populations like you do in China and Europe, in these dense locations. Without potato, Europe is just this famine-stricken continent that it was for ages. And then potatoes come along and they save everyone. And they also happen to be delicious. There's other crops that like save loads of people and aren't nearly as delicious. Like cassava is nice. It's nice. But it's not potato. So yeah, potatoes aren't a meme. They're serious. Thank you, Abhilash, for the super chat. And let's see. Someone says the Irish famine. Yeah, potatoes like aren't like as important in the Irish famine as you would think they are. Colonialism is very important in the Irish potato famine because Ireland was a net exporter of food during the famine, and during the famine, landlords used the fact that people couldn't grow any crops and were broke as an excuse to like kick them off of the land they were renting and bring in people who could pay higher rents. So the potato in the Irish potato famine isn't as important as like most people think it is. There's like lots of different things involved there. Potato was just like the thing that caused it, but there was a lot of food in the country. Someone says potatoes are stronger than infinity stones, and that's true. If Thanos had a glove and in it he had each like different types of like kinds of potatoes, he had like sweet potato, he had reality potato, which is a potato, starchy boys, you know, that's much more powerful than whatever gems he was holding. Okay, I'm gonna answer like 2 or 3 more questions because
somebody asked, what's
starving.
your favorite form of potatoes?
Favorite form of potato? It has to be mashed. Mashed potato is the only meal that you can eat every single day and you won't die. If you get mashed potato, which is made with like potato and butter, and then you can add your milk or your oat milks. It depends what century you're in. You can survive on that forever. When I was doing a video, we did a video on potatoes like 2 years ago. And when I was doing the research, I came across a study that was like, this Polish team of scientists did a study where like 2 of the scientists only ate mashed potato for a year. And I remember the one line that I remember from this study was like, after 1 year, they reported no physical like defects, like no negative aspects of this, and expressed no desire to change. As in, like, these 2 Polish guys were just like, yeah, it's fine, I'll just eat mashed potato for the rest of my life. There's no reason not to. It's delicious.
Somebody asks, how are you not tired of talking for 2+ hours?
I don't know. The interest, like, so yeah. If you're wondering how I'm not tired of talking for 2.5 hours, I could talk forever. I'm actually exceptionally annoying in real life because I will just continue to talk about random stuff forever. Especially like you guys asked, like you all asked like really important questions. Not important. Well, not important, but interesting was the word I wanted to say. Someone say, what about soy and soybeans? Yeah, soybeans are also super important. One, because of their cultural and, nutritional value, but also because soy sauce is deeply important to me. And the things that are important to me are the most important things on earth. Okay, let's see. A few more questions. Can you make a video on the Upanishads? I want to make a video on the Upanishads. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in the Upanishads. And it's super interesting, and they actually have like a lot of like kind of universal value, as in like things you read in the Upanishads read a lot like things you see in like the Bible or the Quran. Well, they're on that kind of like similar. They have that kind of like a similar purpose. Like they are like these universal truths that people like get a lot of like value from, and so I'd like to do the Upanishads. Yeah. Someone's like, "What is our Spanish channel about?" Our Spanish channel is just this channel, but in Spanish. Let's see. Someone says, am I a beach person or a mountain person? I am more of a beach person because I like to remain very stationary and not move, and I love the sun. Like I will sit in the sun for hours at a time. It will probably kill me, but it's just so much fun. Whereas mountains are like steep and require like lots of effort, and I'm just not into that kind of stuff. I do love mountains. Like when I was I went to Chile and like I was in like the Andes and we went to like the Atacama Desert, which has like a lot of like steep places and it's gorgeous. But you know, someone says, "Can I make a video on the IRA?" I feel like that would be demonetized and I wouldn't get a sponsor. I would love to talk about it because it's fascinating and there's like a deep history there because like there's several different IRAs and there's several and there's a lot of misinformation and it also like a lot of misinformation about it. Like for obvious reasons, but that would also take a while to figure out how to present. Okay, I'm gonna answer like one more question because I'm very hungry and I've been talking for like 2 hours and 40 minutes and I haven't drank any water. I've only drank this like 12% beer and it's very warm at this point. Warm. Okay. Let's see. Someone says, have I interacted with Jabby Koi? I haven't. Jabby Koi just reacts to my videos every now and then. It gives me lots of views. I like it. Tell him to react to all my videos if you have access to him. Like, I'm pro that. Okay, last question. Let's see which one I can spot. If you actually want to search for like a really good question, I'm just going to be like, thank you all so much, you know, for helping us get to 320,000 subscribers. It's insane. For me, it's completely insane that anyone watches these videos. So the fact that 320,000 people have subscribed, the fact that there are more people who are subscribed to this channel than there are people in Vanuatu, blows my mind. There are countries in the United Nations that have less people than our subscriber base. And that's crazy. That's mental. That's mad. So thank you so much for subscribing and like supporting the channel and getting us to where we are. And Iceland only has 340,000 people. So that means we're almost at an Iceland. And if you want to, you can tell all your friends and family. And we can like put Iceland in its place because Iceland, like, it's very they're cocky, and I think that we should beat them. You know. So yeah, I'm gonna actually we'll leave it at that. I have to go eat, and I will we'll see you like on the next live stream. I always mean to do more of these. They are always really fun, and it's always insane to see like all these different people with their questions. But yeah, I will see you in the next live stream. Thank you so much for helping us get to 320,000. And what was the Tamil word for goodbye? Poitu Varan. You know? And Irish for goodbye is slán. The English for goodbye is goodbye. So, well, okay. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.